these revision slides together with the main slides, as well as your law book, if you go through those three resources, you will then be able to pass the exam easily next week. After I've gone through the revision slides, I will then hand over to Tom. Tom will then take us through some of the admin. He will also take us through a click-by-click demonstration of exactly how the exam will work. So to kick off tonight's session, I'm kicking off with the revision slides. Firstly, Law 1 covers the players. So when it comes to the nomination and the replacement of players, let's first focus on the nomination. So each captain needs to nominate his or her players, and this nomination needs to be in writing, and it can either be handed to either of the umpires before the toss, or they can come with the completed nomination sheet to the toss. But toss cannot take place until both nomination sheets has been completed. So you need to double check nomination sheets completed. Yes, now you can allow for the toss to take place. Are we allowed to replace a player after the nomination took place? The law tells us yes. So after the nomination, we are allowed to change a player, but there is one condition, and this condition must be met for before a player can be replaced. And what is this condition? We need the consent of the opposing captain, non-negotiable. And if the opposing captain say yes, we then can replace the player. If the opposing captain say no, unfortunately, you're not allowed to replace that player. Let me give you an example. Let's use a test match as an example. Day 1, play will start at 10 o'clock. We'll see later on the toss needs to take place between 9:30 and 9:45. Let's say the toss took place at 9:30. South Africa wins the toss and they're going to bat. So we all know while the toss is taking place, players are warming up. So toss took place at 9:30. Let's say about 9:35, one of the players, let's say, break a finger. And because of this broken finger, not able to hold the bat, obviously not able to partake in this game. So now what happens? Can we replace this player with another player? Yes, the law allows for it, but there's this condition. So what will practically happen is you'll firstly find the captain of the player that's injured will come to the umpire saying, umpire, player X broke his finger. Can we replace player X with player Y? The umpire's response will be, yes, the law allows for a player to be replaced, but there is a condition. Let's walk over to the opposing captain, because we need his or her permission. If they do give permission, we can then replace the player. If they say no, then unfortunately we cannot replace the player. So we'll go over, we'll explain to the captain, player X broke his finger, can we replace it with player Y? If captain say yes, absolutely no problem, you now can then replace this player with someone else. So now we've replaced player X with player Y. So what powers does this replacement player have? This player is now part of the game. So we'll see in the next slide what powers this player have. Firstly, the replacement player. According to the laws, this replacement player will now be considered the same as a nominated player. This replacement player will have full power. This replacement player can bowl, can bat, can field, can do anything in this game. If the replacement player enters the game and the player that you see replace has already batted, then unfortunately that replacement player cannot bat. But otherwise, replacement player have full power. In terms of penalty time, warnings, and suspensions, this will be inherited by the replacement player. So if a player had a suspension or still owes penalty time, the replacement player will inherit those penalty time and needs to serve it before he or she can bowl. So to summarize, this replacement player, yes, the law allows for it, and what powers does this replacement player have? The player can bowl, can bat, can field, can do anything. Don't get confused between a replacement player and a substitute player. Later on in the revision lecture, I will cover what is a substitute player and what powers the substitute player has. But don't get confused because they are different and they have different powers. But for now, what I've covered here, replacement player and the powers that this replacement player had. When it comes to the captain, sometimes the captain is not available, so the law allows for, okay, captain not available, deputy can act then for the captain. When it comes to the nomination of players, to write, your players on that nomination seat, who can write who can nominate, who can put the players on that seat? The law tells us anyone associated with the team. The manager can write the players on the nomination seat. The coach can do it. Any of the players can do it if the captain is not available. The scorer can do it. Absolutely no issue. But this is only when it comes to the nomination of players. But when it comes to toss time, now the law tells us if the captain is not available to toss, we cannot let anyone come to the toss. We cannot let the coach come to the toss. We cannot let the manager come to the toss, nor the scorer. At the toss, if the captain is not available, one of the nominated members of the side, they need to deputize if the captain is not available. So this is different to the nomination of players. With here, anyone associated with the team can, but to the toss, now we need one of the nominated members of the side. Umpires, we lots of duties for the umpires to perform before the game starts. That's why, as per the law, umpires needs to be at the ground 45 minutes before play starts. Why? There's lots of duties that you need to perform as umpires. Part of your duties are before the toss, you need to meet with the captains. You need to discuss the balls that you're going to use in the game. Confirm the hours of play, when play will start, when we'll end, what time will be our lunch, how long will be our lunch, and our tea and our drinks. We need to decide which clock are we going to use. Is there a scoreboard clock? Are we going to use the umpire's watches? That needs to be decided. If there are any obstacles inside the field of play, this needs to be discussed with the captain. On the right is an example of where there's a tree inside the field of play. This is at a provincial ground in South Africa, in a town called Pietermaritzburg, where this huge tree is inside the boundary. So the custom of this particular field is if the ball hits the tree anywhere, it will be boundary 4. Whether it hits the bottom of the tree, whether it hits the highest branch of the tree, it will be boundary 4. So this needs to be discussed before the game starts, so everyone is on the same page. So everyone then knows if the ball hits the tree, it will be boundary 4. But importantly, you need to discuss this before the toss. You cannot get to start the game and let's say now there's a tree inside, or even rugby poles or soccer poles inside the field of play. Now the ball hits the soccer poles or rugby poles. Now everyone is looking at each other. Everyone looking at the umpire. What are we going to do? What are we not going to do? Before the game, discuss this. Decide what are you going to do. If it hits the poles, if it hits the tree, we're going to go boundary 4. Everyone knows. So if it happens, we know how to handle it. Discuss the use of covers. How are we going to deal with it? If there's any special conditions affecting the game, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle it? When it comes to the bat, and the subsection that we're going to focus on is, when did the ball make contact with the bat? What needs to happen? So now the law tells us that contact between the ball and any of the following: the bat and the whole of the bat, whether it's the blade, whether it's the back of the bat, whether it's the handle, whether it's the grip that's on the bat, the whole of the bat. If the ball touches it, the law sees it as the ball having touched the bat. Also, if the ball makes contact with the batter's hand holding the bat, and emphasis on hand holding the bat. Similarly, if there's a glove worn by the batter, if the ball makes contact with the glove that's worn by the batter, and that hand is holding the bat. And I mentioned earlier about a toe guard, any additional materials that's on the bat, whether it's a toe guard, whether it's a grip. If the ball makes contact with any of those additional materials, any part of the glove on the batter's hand that is holding the bat, batter's got no gloves on, it make contact with the batter's hand holding the bat, or the whole bat itself, the law sees this as the ball touching the bat. And if it touches the bat and it goes to, let's say, the keeper, and there's an appeal, umpire is convinced of the edge, umpire to give the batter out. If you look at the pick on the right, what I want to emphasize is the ball must touch the batter's hand or glove that's holding the bat. If the hand or glove is not holding the bat, is not in contact with the bat, and the ball touches it, the law sees that as the ball being touched part of the batter's person. This example, this was an ODI. So Marcus Stoinis, ball went down the leg side. So if you look on the pick on the left, you can see, just focus on the right hand. Where's the right hand? If you look at the pick on the right, if you look at both pick left and the pick on the right, you can see that the right hand is not touching the handle, is not holding the bat. But if you look in the middle, you can see a spike. So the ball definitely touched the glove. But this was correctly given not out. Why? Because, yes, the ball touched the glove, but Marcus' hand, the right hand, the bottom hand, was not holding the bat. And now it's seen as that hand being part of the person, and that's why this was given not out. If Marcus's hand, that bottom hand, right hand, was on the bat and it touched the glove, he would have been given out, caught behind. But because the hand is not holding the bat, and yes, it touched the glove, but because the hand is not holding the bat, he was given not out. When it comes to the wickets, and in particular, are we allowed to remove the bails from the stumps? Yes, the law allows for it, because the law recognizes there will be times when we do need to remove the bails. And those are usually in times of strong, high winds. The bails keeps on falling down. And if you're going to continue just falling down, picking up, you're going to waste a lot of time. So now the law recognizes this. So if the bails continue falling off, the law allows you to remove those bails. But there is a but, and that but is, if you do decide to remove the bails, you need to remove it from both ends. You cannot have, let's say the bails only falls off at one end, and then say, okay, it's only falling off at this one end. I'm going to remove it from this end. I'm going to leave the other side on. No, that is not permitted as per the laws. If you remove it from one end, you need to remove it from both ends. And then now you'll play strong wind, so you'll play now without bails. And as soon as the wind dies down later on in the afternoon or morning, you can put the bails back on as soon as the wind dies down. But it is so important And you need to know how the law works, because as soon as you remove the bails due to strong winds, now in terms of putting the wicket down, how do you put the wicket down? There's no bails on. So how will the fielders be able to put the wicket down? As follows. All that now needs to happen is the ball now just needs to touch the stumps. Let's listen to a video. This is a level 1 course I did a few years ago. It was a face-to-face course. And in here, I explain what happens after we've decided to remove the bails from both ends, how the fielding side can now put the wicket down. Bails are around about 1 o'clock, because it kept on, the bells kept on blowing off. And I'm getting old now, and I said, no, let's leave the bells. It was just wasting too much time continuously picking up the bells. So now we decided to remove the bells. And usually when you decide to remove the bells, there's only one reason. The wind keeps on blowing it off. And when you do decide to remove the bells from the stumps, you need to remove it from both ends. You cannot have a game where you say, I'm only removing the bells from this end because this is where it keeps on falling off. Unfortunately not. The law is quite clear on this. If you do decide to remove the bells because the wind blows it off, you need to remove it from both ends. So now we've decided to remove the bells from both ends. Now the law changes. All the law now tells us, once you decide to remove the bails, is the ball now just needs to touch any of the stumps. So now no need to hit it out the ground, throw it out the ground, do these. The fielder can do it if they want to, but not necessary. The law tells us all that now needs to happen is for the ball to touch the stumps. Now, from an umpiring point of view, you now need to be on high alert, because remember, the ball just needs to touch the stumps, and it can be difficult. I had arguments already in my umpiring career, took off the bails, and the fielding side would say, yeah, but umpire, it kissed the stumps. Batters, obviously the batter's going to say, no, it didn't touch the stumps. What you need to do is you need to go and consult your colleague. Ask your colleague, did he hit the stump? Yes or no? If you're not sure, what do you do as umpires? Benefit goes to the batter. You must be 100% sure that either of you saw the ball at least touching the stumps. If not, give the benefit to the batter. So again, I want to emphasize, this is when you as the umpires decided to remove the bails due to high winds and to put the wicket down. All that needs to happen is ball just need to touch the stumps. Don't confuse this with, and we're going to cover this when we get to law 29 later in the lecture, where if while the ball is in play, let's say the wind blows the bails off and it's now on the floor. So how do we now put the wicket down? We're going to cover that later on, but I don't want you to get confused between the two. This that we've just covered is after both umpires have decided to remove the bails due to high winds, and this is how the law works. When we get to law 29, and let's say while the ball was in play, the wind blew the wicket down, now there's another set of laws that comes in, and I'll explain that to you later, how we put the wicket down there. When it comes to the innings, and in particular the toss, let's look at who needs to be there, where it happens, and then the timings of the toss. So let's first start by who needs to be there. Both captains must be there, non-negotiable. And the law wants at least one umpire to be there, preferably both. But let's say one umpire is stuck in traffic. If there's at least one of them, they can then supervise the toss. So now we know who needs to be there. Where does it take place? According to the law, anywhere on the field of play. So as soon as you put your foot over the boundary rope, you've stepped onto the field of play. Technically, according to the law, that's where the toss can take place. But we all know, customary, and it's been so for centuries already, you need to, when it comes to the toss, it takes place on the square right next to the match pitch. Timing of the toss. There's a 15-minute window period, 1-5. Let's say a test match starts at 10 o'clock. So the toss needs to take place between 9:30 and 9:45 if it's a 10 o'clock start. If it's a 10:30 start, toss then needs to take place between 10 o'clock and 10:15. If it's a 9:30 start, toss takes place 9 o'clock and 9:15. As soon as the toss is done, whoever wins the toss must notify the opposing captain immediately whether they're going to bat or field. And once that decision has been made, it then cannot be changed afterwards. When it comes to the over, the law wants each over to be bowled alternately. You cannot have 2 overs from one side and 2 from the other side. You'll have an over from the north end, another one from the south end, then back to the north end. So when do an over start? An over starts as soon as the bowler begins his or her run-up. As soon as that bowler takes that first step, that is when the over starts. Yeah, and if the bowler doesn't have a run-up, as soon as that back foot lands. What happens if an umpire miscounts? And this happens. You'll be amazed. It happens at the highest level, right down to at club level. Yes, we do have counters or clickers to help us, but it happens that we do miscount, and the law recognized this. So the law tells us that if the umpire miscounts, and yes, we need to try to get our counting spot on, because it can be the difference. One ball can be the difference between a side winning or losing, especially in your shorter format, in the shorter format of the game. So we need to be sure that we get our counting spot on. So, but if the umpires did miscount, how will we deal with it? The law tells us whatever number of balls the umpires allowed in the over, that balls to count. Like if the umpires allowed a 5-ball over and they've called over and the next over starts, that 5-ball over to count. You cannot come back later and say, oh, umpire, there's a 5-ball over, we need to bowl another ball later on. No, it doesn't happen. Over as counted by the umpire will stand. Similarly, if the umpire allows a 7-ball over, that 7-ball over will also stand. Whatever runs get scored from that 7th ball, or even if a batter is dismissed, it will count. If the umpire allows an 8-ball over, unfortunately, that 8-ball over to also stand. Then the law tells us, if an umpire did miscount and allow the over to continue after 6 valid balls has been bowled, and now they've allowed the 7th ball, and then they realize, oops, we've allowed an extra ball. So now the law tells us, okay, you've allowed the 7th ball. Even if that 7th ball was not a valid ball, you can still call over. Okay, that's the theory. Let me give you a practical example. The umpire got to 6 valid balls, and they've now miscounted. They now allowed a 7th ball to be bowled. So now the bowler bowls a 7th ball, and now on the 7th ball, the bowler oversteps. Let's say front foot no ball. The umpire calls and signal no ball for the bowler overstepping the popping crease. So now, let's say, and the batter hits a 4 runs off that particular ball. So now, after calling no ball for the front foot, and it's now being the 7th ball, the umpires now realize, oh boy, we actually allowed this a seventh ball. They've just realized they've already bowled 6 valid balls. They've now allowed the seventh ball to be bowled. But now the seventh ball is a no ball. And we know a no ball needs to be rebowled. But now, in this instance, as soon as they realized that they've already bowled 6 valid balls, the law allows now for them to call over. Even though the seventh ball was a no ball, the law allows them to rebowl, to call over. But anything that happened off that seventh ball will still count. So yes, the no ball unfortunately will count. The 4 runs that the batter hit will also count. In another scenario, if the umpires allow the seventh ball to be bowled and one of the batters get a run out of the seventh ball, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but that run out will count. So that's why vital that we do get our counting spot on. When it comes to dead ball, we're going to focus on when the ball automatically becomes dead. And then after that, we're going to cover when it's important for the umpire to call and signal dead ball. So first cover when the ball automatically becomes dead. So something will happen, and the law tells us as soon as this happens, the ball automatically becomes dead. And as soon as the ball is dead, anything that happens after that is irrelevant. So firstly, as soon as the ball is finally settled in the hands of the keeper or the bowler, the ball is automatically dead. It's for the umpires and umpires alone. They need to decide when they think the ball is finally settled or not. As soon as a boundary 4 or boundary 6 is scored, ball automatically dead. As soon as a batter is dismissed, the ball automatically dead. So again, as soon as the ball is dead, anything that happens after that is irrelevant. Whether played or not, a ball gets trapped between the bat and person of the batter or between items of his or her clothing or equipment. As soon as it happens, ball automatically becomes dead. Whether played or not, a ball lodges in the clothing or equipment of a batter or the clothing or clothing of an umpire. We'll see in the next slide. I do have an example of where a ball lodged in the equipment of a batter. And you're going to see it's an international game, but even the international players didn't know the law. So good umpiring technique, even though the law tells us the ball is automatically dead, there's nothing stopping you from calling and signaling dead ball just to inform the players, because lots of players, they don't know the law, and by you just calling and signaling dead ball, it will just stop them. They'll hear you call it, and then they'll know ball is dead, and anything that happens after that is irrelevant. But I've got 3 more when the ball automatically becomes dead, and I'll play you the video. A player returning without permission. Part of the punishment is as soon as that player touches the ball automatically becomes dead. And again, you can call and signal dead ball as soon as that player touches the ball, just to inform everyone that the ball is now dead. When illegal fielding happens, also as soon as that player touches it, or as soon as the player does the illegal fielding, the ball automatically becomes dead. If the ball hits the protective helmet belonging to the fielding side that was placed by the fielding side behind the keeper. So while the ball is still in play, when the ball hits the helmet behind the keeper, the ball automatically becomes dead. And lastly, as soon as the match is done, match is concluded, ball automatically becomes dead. Here I have an example for you where when the ball lodges in the clothing or equipment of a batter or the clothing of the umpire, it automatically becomes dead. Here you're going to see the ball lodging in the equipment of the batter, in the flap of the pad. So just have a look.
What a comedian. So yes, it got stuck in the pad. They're asking.
So as soon as that ball gets stuck in that pad, it's automatically dead. Anything that happens after that is irrelevant. You can see the players still trying to catch it, trying to come back. Obviously, they don't know the law, but you now know the law. So as soon as it got stuck in that flap of the pad, ball automatically dead. There are times where the umpires needs to call and signal dead ball to inform players that the ball is now dead. What are those instances? There are 14 of them. Firstly, if you are going to intervene because of unfair play, before intervening, call and signal dead ball. Then go and intervene and sort out the unfair play. It's because as soon as you utter dead ball, anything that happens after that is irrelevant. If you think there's a possible serious injury to a player or an umpire, call and signal dead ball immediately. As soon as you verbalize that call, anything that happens after that is irrelevant. But it must be, if you think it's a possible serious injury to a player or umpire, intervene, call and signal dead ball, then you can go and inspect what happened. If you decide to go consult your colleague before going to consult, call and signal dead ball. Then, after calling and signaling dead ball, now you can walk over to your colleague to consult. If one or both bails falls from an emphasis on the striker's wicket before the striker had opportunity playing at the ball, the umpire, needs to intervene by calling and signaling dead ball. Usually the strikers in umpire is in the best position to make this call. There's nothing stopping the bowlers in umpire, but 99% of the time the striker will block the stumps or the wicket, and the bowlers in umpire won't be able to see the stumps and won't be able to see whether a bail is on the floor. But as soon as it happens, it can be one or both bails, but it must fall from the striker's end. And if that happens, intervene strikers in umpire, call and signal dead ball. So what happens if if a bail falls off at the bowler's end? Do you call and signal dead ball? No, you don't have to. The law doesn't tell us. Yeah, if players are happy and they continue playing, you will allow play to continue. If a striker is not ready for the ball, and if the ball is delivered, the striker needs to make no attempt to play at the ball. And if that is the case, call and signal dead ball. If the striker is distracted by any noise, movement, someone walking in front of the side screen, butterfly flying in front of the striker's nose, if a striker is distracted, you can intervene by calling and signaling dead ball. If under Law 41 there was a deliberate attempt to distract the striker while the striker is receiving the ball, you can call and signal dead ball. If there was a deliberate distraction, deception, or obstruction after the ball was delivered, intervene by calling and signaling dead ball. Also call and signal dead ball if the bowler drops the ball accidentally while running in call and signal dead ball. If the bowler throws the ball towards the striker's end, and emphasis on striker's end, before entering the delivery stride, call and signal dead ball. The law allows the bowler to throw the ball at the non-striker's end to try to run out the non-striker, but the bowler is not allowed, while running in, to throw the ball at the striker's end. And if that happens, you need to call and signal dead ball. If for whatever reason the ball doesn't leave the bowler's hand, call and signal dead ball. If while the ball is still in play, the ball cannot be recovered, call and signal dead ball. If an animal, object, or person comes within the field of play and you consider that one of the sides will be disadvantaged by this, you can intervene by calling and signaling dead ball. Also call and signal dead ball. The striker tries to play the ball and there's no part of the striker within the pitch. The striker, in playing the ball, needs to have some part of the person with a ground to raise within the pitch. The law does not want the striker to leave the pitch to play the ball. If at any time a striker do leave the pitch to go play at the ball, you need to intervene by calling and signaling dead ball. And lastly, there are some of the laws where it also instruct us to call and signal dead ball. That's not covered here. An example, leg bias not to be awarded, no shot offered, players run. The law guides us by telling us as soon as the ball reaches the boundary or the completion of the first run, the umpire needs to call and signal dead ball. That's just an example of in a way under another law you need to call and signal dead ball. When it comes to no ball, there's only one slide that I'm covering here, and that is how can you be dismissed of a no ball? There are only three ways, and they are hit the ball twice, obstructing the field, and a run out. These are the only three methods or modes of dismissal as soon as no ball is called. Substitutes and fielder's absence. When it comes to substitutes, when do we allow a substitute? And what power does the substitute have? Let's first have a look at when to allow a substitute. If the umpires are satisfied that a fielder became injured or ill, and importantly, this injury or illness needs to happen during this particular match, if that is the case, we will allow a substitute while that fielder that's injured or ill gets treatment. We'll allow a substitute in his or her place. Also, for wholly acceptable reason, one of the players writing an exam at a university, that's an example of a wholly acceptable reason, we'll allow a substitute fielder for that particular fielder that is writing exam. So what powers does the substitute fielder have? Substitute's got very limited power. Substitute is not allowed to bowl, is not allowed to act as captain, is not allowed to bat. Yes, the law allows for the substitute to act as a wicket keeper, but there is a condition before the substitute can be keeper, and that condition is you need the consent of the umpires. So before the substitute can be keeper, we need to go to the umpires. Umpires, can the substitute be keeper? If the umpires say yes, then the substitute can be keeper. So you can see a substitute's very limited powers. So again, don't want you to get confused between a substitute and a replacement player. They are different. The law sees them as different. The laws give them different powers. Just to summarize again, replacement player has full powers, can bat, bowl, can do field, can do anything. But substitute fielder, only thing they can actually do is field. They're not allowed to bowl, bat, or be captain. And yes, they can be keeper, but with the consent of the umpires. The wicket keeper. Let's listen to the video and see what needs to happen. As soon as the bowler gives his or her first step, what is the keeper allowed to do? What's the keeper not allowed to do? Let's look at the video. After the video, I'll just summarize again what the keeper can do as soon as that ball comes into play.
Hello guys, welcome to my channel. First, let's watch a footage from the T20 match between India and Australia, which happened on 21st of November 2018. Australian wicketkeeper Alex Carey ends up touching the stumps before the ball reaches him, and after referring to the third umpire, it was declared a no ball. So what do you guys think about it? It's a no ball because he touched the stumps? Well, let's find out. Before going any further, let us take a look at the restrictions a wicketkeeper has. He has restrictions both on his movement and position. According to cricket law, after the ball comes into play, to know when the ball comes into play, watch the above video. And before the ball reaches the striker, it is unfair if the wicketkeeper makes any significant movement. In this case, umpire will call it dead ball and further action will be invalid. However, he is allowed to make certain movements. Let's take a look at them. He is allowed to move a few steps forward for a slower delivery, but doing so should not bring the stumps in his reach. He is allowed to move laterally, like this wicketkeeper, in response to the direction in which the ball has been delivered. He is allowed to move in response to the stroke that the striker is playing, like this wicketkeeper does, but he has to make sure that he follows the law 27.3.1. Let's see what exactly that law is. The wicketkeeper shall remain wholly behind the wicket. He can't even be parallel to the stumps from the moment the ball comes into play till either of the following things happens. Ball touches the bat or body of the striker. So he can come ahead of the stumps right after the ball touches the bat or batsman's body, just like this keeper does. Next case, he can come ahead after the ball passes the stumps, and he can come ahead if the striker starts running without playing the shot. It will be called a no ball in case of keeper violating this law. In the case of Alex Carey, ball had touched the bat when he broke the wicket. Hence, this is not a violation of law. But he was parallel to the stumps before the ball made contact with the bat. Hence, it was called a no ball. Another instance which needs a mention here is Andy Flower's incident. He is clearly ahead of the stumps even before the ball reached the batsman. It should have been called a no ball, but the umpire didn't notice it at all, and unfortunately it costed Ridley Jacobs his wicket. Still have any doubts with this? Do let me know in the comment section. If you like the video, hit the like button, share with all your friends. To never miss another update from our channel, don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification button.
Just to summarize again what the narrator said in his video with regards to the position of the keeper. So the law wants the keeper at all times to remain, and the word the law uses, wholly behind the wicket. From the moment the ball comes into play, i.e. the moment the bowler takes his or her first step, that's when the ball comes into play. That keeper needs to stay at all times behind the wicket. There are three exceptions. If this happens, then the striker, the wicketkeeper is allowed to come in front of the stumps. What are those three instances? Firstly, as soon as the ball touches either the bat or person, now the law is happy. Keeper, you can now come in front of the stumps. Secondly, as soon as the ball passes the striker's wicket, keeper can now come in front of the stumps. And lastly, if the striker, for whatever reason, decides to attempt a run, the keeper then can come in front of the stumps. But except for these three reasons, keeper needs to stay behind the stumps. If keeper contravenes this law, the striker's in umpire, because he or she is in the best position to make the score, needs to call no ball as soon as possible after the delivery. Fielder, and in particular, what the fielding side is allowed to do with the protective helmets when not in use. The law guides us by telling us if the protective helmets by the fielding side, they don't want to use it. Let's say they have a fast bowler one end and a spinner the other end, and while the fast bowler is bowling, they don't want anyone to sit under the helmets. But the spinners, they want a short leg and a silly point to sit under the helmets. So if the fast bowler is bowling, the law allows the fielding side to place the helmet or helmets behind the keeper, and it needs to be in line with both sets of stumps. That's the only place where it's allowed. Umpires not to keep helmets, they can put it there. So now the helmets are placed behind the keeper. So now what happens while the ball is in play? That ball now goes against the helmet. What happens now? So now the law tells us, as soon as the ball hits the helmet that was now placed behind the keeper. As soon as it happens, the ball then automatically becomes dead. And then after that, anything that happens is irrelevant. 5 penalty runs to the batting side as soon as the ball hit the helmet. Also, any runs completed by the batters before the ball struck the helmet, and if they've crossed with the run they're busy with at the instant of the ball striking the helmet, those runs also to count. Let's have a look at a video. It's an incident that happened in a test match between New Zealand and Pakistan. And we'll see it now, just listen to it, where the ball struck the helmet.
I think that's hit the helmet. I think this will be automatic 5, will it? Just check. I think it is 5.
That's the last thing you want. There you go, hitting right on the top of the lid. Yep.
Do we have to stop for a concussion protocol?
So, as soon as the ball hit the helmet that was placed behind the keeper, ball then automatically becomes dead, and anything that happens after that is irrelevant. So you saw the ball actually landing up and going over the boundary behind the keeper. So lots of players will think, yeah, but that should also be 4. No, you will not allow that boundary 4. Why? Because as soon as the ball hit the helmet, it automatically became dead. Anything that happened after that is irrelevant. So in this instance, Alimdar correctly only allowed for the 5 penalty runs, and because it happened quickly, the batters did not complete any runs, nor did they cross in the run that they're busy with. So no other runs will count except the 5 penalty runs for the ball hitting the helmet that was placed behind the keeper. So when it comes to movement by fielders, what is a fielder allowed to do? What is the fielder not allowed to do? And the law guides us here, and they tell us exactly what the fielder can do. Firstly, and now we're not referring to the keeper, we're just focusing here on the fielder. So as soon as the ball becomes alive and before reaching the striker, any movement by any fielder, the law sees it as unfair. They don't want the fielders to move. There are 3 exceptions, and we'll now see what a player is, or what a fielder is allowed to do and not allowed to do. So firstly, the law allows the fielder minor adjustments to either their stance or position. So this is meant for those. Let's say if you can visualize a silly point standing 2-3 meters from the bat, or a short leg fielder under the helmet, close to the striker. So what usually will happen is silly point fielder will initially stand up or be upright, and as the bowler's running in, they will start crouching down. So those are an example of a minor adjustment, and the law allows for it, but only minor adjustments. That's the first instance. Secondly, the law, and now we're not referring to the close fielder like in point 1. This is now to those other fielders. So the law allows for those fielders to move towards the striker. And that's the only movement they can make, is towards the striker. That's why moving sideways is not allowed as the bowler is walking in. Moving backwards also not allowed as the bowler is running in. You're only allowed to move towards the striker. But these should be, limited movements. You cannot be moving so much that now you're suddenly changing a fielding position. Like, let's say you mid off on the boundary. Now, as the bowler is running in, you start walking. And as the bowler delivers the ball, you suddenly standing at mid-off. I mean, that's a 30, 40 meter walk that you just did. That is not allowed. So, yes, you're allowed to move As long as that movement is not significant, that you're now changing a fielding position. And no problem, that is allowed. And then lastly, the law is happy. The law allows movement by a fielder, and this movement is in response to a stroke that the batter is going to play or suggests that the batter is going to play. We'll see in the next slide. I do have a video where the batter is going to uh, indicate that he's going to play a lap sweep. And as soon as that indication comes, I'm going to play the lap sweep. The law allows a fielder to move, and you'll see the slip move and take the catch. But we'll get there in a slide or two's time. So now these 3 points is the only thing that a fielder is allowed to do. Anything else, the law sees it as unfair movement. And what is the punishment if there is unfair movement by any of the fielders? You, umpire, needs to intervene. How do you intervene? You need to call and signal dead ball. You call your colleague over and you inform your colleague there was unfair movement by fielder X. That's why I called and signal dead ball. Now the law goes on further. There's more punishment. It's not just calling dead ball. There's more. What else? The bowlers and umpire then need, if there was a no ball or wide, that will stay. Then 5 penalty runs to the batting side for the unfair movement by the fielder. You'll inform the captain of the fielding side why you've given this 5 penalty runs. You'll inform the batters, and when possible, you'll inform the captain of the fielding side. And then you need to report this to the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. I mentioned earlier, there's a video, just have a look at this video. I said a fielder can move in response to the stroke that the batter is going to play. So just look at the stroke and you'll see as soon as the batter shapes, he's going to play that stroke, you'll see the slip fielder move. And the law is happy with that. The law allows it. He's not allowed to move before the time. You'll see initially stand still, but as soon as the player go on his knees to lap the ball, that player starts running. Have a look.
Look at that. That is called anticipation. That is an incredible piece of catching buff from Yarsveld.
Well, I'm quite honest to say I've never seen this happen. Well done, Martin van Jaarsveld. It's a preempted sweep shot.
Oh, law, very happy with that. So when is the wicket broken? Let's look at an animation video, and then I will go into a bit more detail and summarize what the video covered.
The wicket is down. The wicket is put down when one or both bails are removed from the top of the stumps, or a stump is struck out of the ground. The situation can be brought about in the following ways.
By the ball, by the batsman's bat.
By the batsman's bat if he or she lets go of it.
Or even by some flying part of a bat if it breaks.
By the batsman's clothing or body, or some part of his or her equipment falling off. By a fielder with his or her hand or arm, providing the same hand is holding the ball.
If the bail merely bounces and comes to rest back on the stumps, then that is not out. The wicket is down at the precise moment that both ends of either bail are removed from the stumps. Right about now. Should you have further questions on this tricky subject, such as how to put the wicket down when one or both bails have already been removed,
head over to Law 29 in MCC's The Laws of Cricket.
So to summarize what the narrator said about breaking the wicket fairly. So the wicket is fairly broken if a bail is completely removed from the top of the stumps, or if a stump is struck out the ground, or by any part of it, by the ball, by the striker's bat, if held, or by any part of the bat that the striker is holding, by the striker's bat not in hand, or by the part of the bat that became detached, by the striker's person or any part of his or her clothing or equipment becoming detached, by a fielder with his or her hand or arm, providing that the ball is held in that hand or hands, or if a fielder strikes or pull a stump out of the ground. This is how the wicket, how you can break the wicket fairly. So what happens if one bail is off? How can you put the wicket down? So law tell us if only one bail is removed, you to put the wicket down, you only need to remove the remaining bail. Or if you want to, you can strike or pull any of the three stumps out the ground, but no need to. If only one bail is on the floor and there's still one on top of the stumps, all you need to do to put the wicket down is to remove the remaining bail. So I mentioned earlier, and we've covered this under Law 8, where I covered how the law treated when the umpires decided to remove the bails or dispense with the bails due to high winds. So in under Law 8, to put the wicket down after the umpires decided to remove the bails due to high winds, all now that needs to happen is the fielding side, the ball just needs to touch the stumps. Any of the stumps, then the wicket will be down. Okay, but what I'm going to cover now is, so what happens if while the ball is in play, and let's say, and if you can look at this pic, and I just want you now to visualize, let's say the batter hits the ball into the covers and they started to run, and then there was a gust of wind, and the wind blew off both bails, and there you can see both bails are on the floor. So now, how do you put the wicket down? Now the law is specific. So initially, the bails were on the stumps when the ball became alive. So the bowler ran, delivered, ball was hit through the covers. They started running. Now the wind blew down the bails. So now how do you put the wicket down? So now you can put the wicket down as follows. This is one method, as in the pic. You take the stump and the ball, and together they need to be together where you remove one bail, one stump out of the ground. You cannot have the ball in one hand and a stump in another, and now you then appeal. It needs to be done together, like in this pic. Hand, ball, together, and you take a stump out of the ground. This is the first way to legally put the wicket down if the bails flew off, let's say due to high winds. The second way to put the wicket down if the bails are on the floor, you need to take the ball with the ball in hand. You can hit a stump completely out of the ground. So take the ball in your hand, hit a stump, and you hit that stump completely out the ground. That's another way to put the wicket down. Third way to put the wicket down, you take the ball and you throw it so hard against the stump that one of the stumps is uprooted. But the stumps must be uprooted. You cannot throw it against the stumps and the stumps is only, let's say, hanging 45 degrees. Stump needs to be completely out the groove. Similarly, when you hit it, you need to hit it completely out the groove. You cannot hit it halfway and it lies 45 degrees. That wicket is not broken. So that's the third way. And the fourth way is, I mean, the law allows for this, and if there is time, the fielder is actually allowed to put back one or both bails. And after putting back one or both bails, and then take the ball and remove them, and the batter sort of the crease, batter can be given out, run out. That's another way of putting the wicket down. So those are the four ways putting the wicket down. If while the ball was in play, let's say in the scenario where the wind blew it off, and now those are the four ways how to put the wicket down. I mentioned earlier about it needs to be done simultaneously and not like this with ball in one hand and a stump in the other hand. So when it comes to appeals, and in particular the timing of appeals, there is a window period for an appeal. There is a time when that window period closes. I'm going to focus on that time now. So in between when the incident happened up until when the window period closes, that appeal is still valid. So in terms of the validation period for an appeal, the law tells us the window period for an appeal only closes as soon as the bowler begins his or her run-up to bowl the next ball. So now you can see, according to the law, the validation period for an appeal it's a long period because it only closes as soon when the bowler begins his or her run-up, or when the bowler takes that first step to bowl the next delivery. Or if there's no run up, the bowling action to deliver the next ball and before time has been called. As soon as time is called, that also, if you call time, it also closes the window period. Similarly, if the bowler takes his or her first step to bowl the next delivery, also closes the window period for an appeal. So in a scenario where if you can visualize, let's say the bowler delivers the ball outside off, the batter plays a cut shot, and it goes through to the keeper. You, the police in umpire, you heard something. You're actually convinced there was a nick, but no one appeals. And we know you cannot give a batter out without an appeal. So in a way, you just leave it because there's no appeal, but you are 100% convinced there was an edge. Anyway, you leave it. So now the bowler turns around and now start walking back to deliver the next ball. Then suddenly, let's say the bowler comes to you and say, umpire, I'm not sure, but I think I heard something. I know I'm appealing for caught behind. Technically, according to the law, the window period is still open. That appeal is still valid. So according to the law, you can still give that batter out caught behind. I can bet you if this has to happen to you, alles going to break loose on the field because, I mean, this is like a minute later that you've given the batter out. But technically, according to the law, it is still, that appeal is still valid and you can still give the batter out. Furthermore, in terms of timing of the appeal, even the call of over doesn't close the window period. That appeal is still valid. Even if you've called over, it only closes when the bowler gives his or her first step to deliver the next ball. And also, again, provided time has not been called, because as soon as you call time, you close the window period, even if the next ball has not been delivered. And appeal of house hit covers all ways of being dismissed. I'll get to the dismissal laws, and the first of the dismissal laws that I'm covering is the court law. Let's look at the animation video, and then I'm going to focus on two videos and to explain to you exactly when the catch starts, when the catch ends, and how you need to interpret it. But let's first look at the animation video.
Fair catch. A catch shall be considered fair if the ball is held in a fielder's hand, hugged to the body of the catcher, or accidentally lodges in his or her clothing, helmet, or protective equipment. But of course, this being cricket, it isn't always that simple. If a fielder deliberately uses an item of clothing to try to catch the ball, it is not out, and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side. However, the ball can be caught after it has deflected off the other batsman, an umpire, another fielder, including off a helmet being worn, or even if it lodges in a fielder's helmet. Perhaps the main criterion for a catch to be considered fair is that the ball must not touch the ground before being caught. Here, for example, the ball does not touch the ground even though the hand holding it does so in effecting the catch. this is a fair catch. And then there is the question of catches near the boundary. This is such an interesting subject that we've given it a film all of its own. To catch up on everything to do with catching, simply refer to Law 33 in the Blue Book.
So when you're making a catch, so the act of making a catch to start from the time the fielder comes into contact with the ball, and it only ends when the fielder has complete control over both ball and the movement. So catch is only completed if there's control over both ball and movement. I'm going to play you this video and you'll see, yes, there was first contact, but you'll see in the video that the fielder did not have complete control over his movement, and that's why this catch is not valid. But let's have a look at the video.
And it's Jay Hope this time, a little wide of the fielder, and almost spilled it on the second attempt.
Well, Jackson Smith left the ball on the ground. That could be a big moment for Callum Stowe. Let's have a look. So he spills it first time, comes off the thigh, dives forwards, gets it in two hands. Yeah, he's got it. He's got it. He's still got his finger. Oh my goodness me. Now that's a problem. That's a problem.
So again, fielder did not have control over both the ball and his own movement. That's why this was correctly given not out. Also, in Ashes Test match a few years ago, also an incident happened. And just look at me. Yes, Mitchell Starc took the catch, but he was not in control of his movement. So let's have a look at the catch, and then we'll listen to Marie Erasmus, who was the TV umpire for this Test match, and he will explain exactly why he gave it not out.
I want your opinion on that catch now, Ricky. You've had ages to digest it as you've meandered across the outfield. What do you reckon?
And the last 10 minutes in the commentary box, we've been talking about it. I'm worried about the inconsistencies of all of this. I mean, I can sit back and argue that Steve Smith wasn't in control of his movements either in the first innings. His was deemed to have his fingers underneath the ball. Mitchell Starc took the catch, 3 or 4 feet from the ground. So at some stage his fingers were underneath the ball. I'm sure we'll get more. We'll talk about it forever. We'll get more clarification, I'm sure, overnight by the time we've spoken to the umpires. But, I mean, if you look at that, I know they're talking about the movement not being completed, but that's been held longer than any slips catch, any keeper's catch that's ever been taken in the history of the game. But they catch it and throw it up straight away, and sometimes you are still moving when you've done that. So I could argue that he's controlled that ball as long, if not longer, than most catches that are actually taken in the game.
I suppose, and as I say to Straussy, I haven't been able to ask Maria Erasmus specifically about this, but if he's arguing that he's not in control of his movements, it's because he's using his the ball to steady himself a wee bit.
Yeah, I think that's what he'll come back to. But
the inconsistency.
Was Steve Smith doing the same? I mean, that's what I don't. And I think what you'll see with a lot of these is you'll see different umpires interpret that in a different way, I reckon.
Right. We'll have a look at the Steve Smith catch then, because you can go through what you mean about having his fingers on the ball and then his movements after.
Yeah, well, I spoke to you this night. That he clearly catches that a long way above the ground. And what he said then, if you look at the way his fingers were underneath the ball, on the bottom side of the ball. The ball then, from what angles that I saw, the ball actually touched the ground, although his fingers were underneath it. As he came back up, the ball came out of his hand. So is he actually in control of the ball? I think Mitchell Starc was in control of the ball longer than what Steve Smith was with his.
The question I have, I mean, it's sloppy from Mitchell Starc, isn't it? I think the catch was good, but you don't let the ball just go along the ground like that. He could have easily sort of rolled his body over and made sure the ball did not touch the ground. So it was a 100%. Sloppy bit of fielding in the end.
Yeah, I cannot argue with that at all.
Okay, those are pundits discussing the catch. Let's listen to Marie Erasmus, who was the TV umpire for this particular Test match. And this, listen how brilliantly Marie explains exactly how the law works.
Exactly what you saw in the third umpire's chair, and just interpret the law for us as you with your thinking process around the catch.
Yeah, the law is specific and it says that the fielder has to have control of his body and movement. In that particular case, he was still moving and he put the ball on the ground. Now, if you take that example and say he was sliding towards the boundary, if he slid into the boundary, we would have deemed it either 4 or 6, depending on if the ball touched the ground before. So there's no difference in our interpretation for the catch.
So the key thing is that he only then has control of his body when the movement has stopped, and by that stage the ball has clearly touched the ground.
Yes. It was actually quite simple because he actually put the ball on the ground quite early, and then eventually when he came to stop, it was too late.
Next of the dismissal law is hit wicket. So I'm first going to cover when the striker is dismissed hit wicket or out hit wicket. Then I'm going to cover when will the striker be not out hit wicket. So now for hit wicket to happen, there is a window period for when it when it can happen. There's a moment where hit wicket starts, and there's also a moment when it ends. And hit wicket needs to happen between when it starts and when it ends. So if it happens before that starting point, we're going to find out in the next slide what the umpires will do. If hit wicket happens after the window period has closed, also we're going to have to go not out. But let's first focus on how a batter will be out hit wicket. But let's start with when that window period opens for hit wicket. So it opens only after the bowler has entered his or her delivery stride. That's when the window period for hit wicket opens. And after the bowler has entered the delivery stride, if the striker then put the wicket down, now he or she is eligible to be given out hit wicket. So we have just mentioned it opens when that back foot lands. So what happens if the striker put the wicket down before the bowler enters the delivery stride? Just hang on, I'll give you that answer in the next slide. But for now, what I want you to take away from this is when the window period for hit wicket opens. And it opens only once the bowler enters the delivery stride. So now the bowler has entered the delivery stride. So now a striker can be out hit wicket in the following circumstances. Firstly, any course of action taken by the striker in preparing to receive or receiving the delivery. What are examples of course of action taken by the striker? Different batters, they've got different things that happen before the ball gets delivered. So different batters got different trigger movements. You'll find some batters have a back and across trigger movement. You find some batters have a forward trigger movement. Some have no trigger movement. Some lift their bat. Some keep it in the air. Just depending different things for different batters. So all the law tells us is after the bowler has entered his or her delivery stride. So any course of action. So if the batter goes back and across and goes onto the stumps, putting the bails down. If the bowler, while the bowler is running in after entering the delivery stride, the striker now has a back lift, and that back lift in lifting the bat up hits the stumps and the bails are on the floor. Those are just two examples of actions taken by the striker while receiving the delivery. And if that is the case, and the striker's bat or body puts the bail or bails on the floor after the bowlers enter the delivery stride, striker will be out hit wicket. Also striker to be out hit wicket in setting off for that first run. And the important word in the sentence is setting off for that first run, and it needs to be immediate. If it's not immediate, and we'll see in 2 slides time, if it's not immediate, you need to go give the bat out and give the striker not out. But the law wants it to be immediate. So striker playing at the ball and then setting off immediately to take a single, and then the striker's back foot slides, tramp on the wicket, bails on the floor. striker to be given out hit wicket. Point 3, similarly to point 2, just the difference is in point 2, strikers play the shot. In point 3, the striker made no attempt to play at the ball and then set off for that first run, but it still need to be immediately in setting off for that first run. If it's not immediate, if there is a pause in any way, and then the striker put the wicket down, you want to go not out hit wicket. And then lastly, striker will be out hit wicket in trying to guard his or her wicket. The law allows for the striker to hit the ball a second time to guard the wicket. So as the ball is rolling towards the stumps, the striker now wants to hit the ball away so that the ball don't go onto the stumps. And in trying to hit the ball, the striker hits the stumps and the balls are on the floor. There will be an appeal, and your answer to that appeal is going to be out, hit wicket. So these are the 4 instances when the striker will be out hit wicket. You now know when it starts, when that bowler's back foot lands. That's when the window period for hit wicket opens. I mentioned earlier that what happens if the striker puts the wicket down before the bowler enters the delivery stride? What do you then do? The law guides us by telling us you need to call and signal dead ball, because the striker cannot be given out hit wicket if the striker puts the wicket down before the bowlers enter the delivery stride. Now we're going to focus on when the striker will be not out hit wicket, and we're now going to see when the window period for hit wicket closes. So the striker will be not out hit wicket if the striker puts the wicket down after the striker has completed any action in receiving the delivery. So bullet point 1 tells us when the window period for hit wicket closes. It closes as soon as the shot is done. As soon as the action taken by the striker in receiving the delivery is completed, the window period is closed. If the striker do put the wicket down after the window period closes, it will be not out hit wicket. Hit wicket must happen from the moment the bowler enters the delivery stride up until as soon as the shot is done, or as soon as the striker's completed any action in receiving the delivery. If it happens after that, not out. Also, the striker will be not out hit wicket if it happens when the striker is in the act of running other than the first run. I mentioned earlier, you can only give the striker out if in the first run, in setting off for that first run, and there was an important word in that sentence, and that word was immediate. It needs to be immediate. If it's immediate, and striker setting off, that back foot lands, put the balls on the floor, on appeal, out hit wicket. If it's not immediate, if there's any pause, striker will be not out hit wicket. So striker not out hit wicket if the striker put the wicket down and it's not that first run. Like an example, the striker plays the ball down to third man, runs through for a single, comes back for the second, and now the throw comes into the wicketkeeper's end. Striker then dives to make good the ground, slides, and then the striker's bat goes against the wicket. The fielding side will appeal. And what is your answer to that appeal is going to be? You're going to say, players, that is not out hit wicket. It needs to happen in the striker setting off immediately for that first run. Yes, the striker's bat did clip the balls and the balls are on the floor, but it needs to happen in that first run. The striker here was busy completing the second run. So striker cannot be given out hit wicket if they do put the wicket down and if it's not immediately setting off for that first run. Also, striker not out hit wicket if it happens if the striker is trying to avoid being run out or stumped at any time. If the striker is trying to avoid a throw at any time, not out hit wicket. Striker also not out hit wicket if the striker do put the wicket down, but for whatever reason the bowler decides not to deliver the ball. So if the bowler don't deliver the ball, even if the striker did put the wicket down, you must go not out hit wicket. They're going to ask you, "Oh, why? I mean, everyone saw the striker put the wicket down with the bat." You're going to say, yes, I also saw it, but the bowler didn't deliver the ball, and because of that, my answer to your appeal is not out for hit wicket. And then lastly, if the ball is a no ball, and yes, the striker do put the wicket down, but your answer to the appeal will be not out because the striker cannot be given out the hit wicket off a no ball. There's only 3 ways to be dismissed off a no ball. Hit wicket is not one of them. This is an example of Sachin Tendulkar, and you'll see here, after playing at the ball, you'll see he immediately set off for that first run, and that back foot slides, and he put the wicket down. That's why this was correctly given out hit wicket. But you'll see that setting off for that first run is immediate. That's why he was given out correctly. Have a look.
Single, here he goes, he pushes back, and he's gone. Hit wicket, it's 2 for 26. What he's saying is, I was pushing off for the run, I completed the shot, but the rules have been changed. Once you break the stumps, no matter how you do it, that's out.
Leg before wicket. Let's look at animation video. Then I'm going to summarize the factors or points that you need to take into account when there is an LBW appeal.
Leg before wicket. LBW. LBW is a little like the offside rule in football. Many people claim to know it, but how many people really do? Our handy checklist means that whether you find yourself umpiring an international test match or the kids on the beach, your reputation for fairness will remain intact. There are 5 basic criteria to consider. The batsman is out, leg before wicket, if 1. The bowler bowls a ball that isn't a no ball, unlike this poor fellow. 2. The ball, if it is not intercepted on the full, pitches in line between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the batsman's wicket. It cannot be out if the ball pitches outside the line of the leg stump. 3. The ball hits the batsman either full pitch or after pitching and before he hits it with his bat. 4. This is where it gets a bit more complicated. If the batsman was making a genuine attempt to play the ball, the point of impact must be between wicket and wicket for LBW to be an option. However, if the batsman has made no genuine attempt to play the ball, the contact must either be between wicket and wicket or outside the line of the off stump. 5. This is the crucial part. But for the interception by the batsman, the ball would have gone on to hit the stumps and dislodge the bails. Any questions? Just refer to Law 36 in the Blue Book.
So to summarize the points that you need to consider when there is an LBW appeal according to the law. Yes, the ball shouldn't be a no ball. The first thing that you need to consider is where did the ball pitch? The law wants it to pitch between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket. That's why bullet point 2 is the reason why if the ball pitches outside leg stump, it can never be out LBW because the law is specific where it needs to pitch. It either needs to pitch in line or in line between wicket and wicket or on the off side of the wicket. Ball should not have touched the bat first. The moment the ball touched the bat first, can never be given out LBW. So if you hear bat first, you immediately say not out. You can consider an LB appeal if you touch the pad first and then the bat. Then you can consider it. But there's still other factors that you need to take into account. And those other factors are Ball can be intercepted any part of the striker's person. Yes, I know they call it LBW, leg before wicket. And yes, I would say 98% of the time it is the leg that is before the wicket, but any part of the person, ball can go against the tummy or chest or shoulder, and you can still consider an LB appeal. Next is the point of impact. And even if the point of impact is above the level of the bails, the law wants the point of impact to be between wicket and wicket. There is one exception, and that exception is where the law allows for the impact to be outside off, and that is if the striker made no genuine attempt to play at the ball with his or her bat. There needs to be an attempt to play at the ball. If there's no attempt, if the striker shouldered arms, then you can consider an LB appeal even if the impact is outside off. But otherwise, if there is a shot, always the law wants the point of impact to be between wicket and wicket. And then lastly and importantly, all these points are important, but in your opinion, the ball would have gone on to hit the wicket. And if there's an appeal and you've went through these 6 bullet points and you've ticked all of them, give the striker out LBW. If you've only ticked 5 and that last bullet point you don't think it would have gone on to hit the wicket, you go not out. Obstructing the field. Let's look at the animation video first.
Obstructing the field. A batsman is out obstructing the field if he or she willfully attempts to obstruct or distract the fielding side by word or action. Like this, for example. Thank you, Tommy. In particular, it is considered to be obstruction if, while the ball is in play and after the striker has played the ball, either batsman willfully strikes the ball with a hand not holding the bat or any other part of his or her person, or with the bat. The exception to this is when the batsman is attempting to defend his or her wicket. The batsman may do this with the bat or any part of his or her person, except with a hand not holding the bat. If the batsman uses such a hand, he or she will be out obstructing the field. The handled the ball law no longer exists, with such incidents now covered by obstructing the field instead. The obstruction has to be willful. Accidental obstruction, or obstruction caused by trying to avoid injury, does not count, and the decision on that is down to the umpire. It's worth noting that if a catch is obstructed, it is the striker who is out, even if it was the non-striker who caused the obstruction. Mind you, it's not always an easy decision. Here, the batsman deliberately crosses out of the legal running area in order to attempt to obstruct a throw. There is no other reason why the batsman should be running across the pitch. What looked an accident was, in fact, an illegal incident. To avoid any possible confusion, read Law 37 in black and white in the Blue Book.
So obstructing a ball from being caught. Firstly, if the ball is not a no ball, the striker, an emphasis on the striker, will be out obstructing the field. If there was willful, emphasis on willful, obstruction or distraction by either batter, and this obstruction prevented the ball from being caught. In the example, ball is not a no ball, striker pulls the ball in the air, bowler sits under the ball to catch the ball, and the non-striker willfully bumps into the bowler. This puts the bowler off. Bowler doesn't take the catch. There's an appeal. Because the obstruction was willful, you need to give the striker out obstructing the field. Yes, I know it was the non-striker that caused the obstruction, but because it's not a no ball, the law tells us the striker needs to be given out. Also, striker will be given out obstructing the field if the striker obstructs a catch from being taken, even if it's guarding his or her own wicket. So you can have the case where, let's say, the striker spinner bowling, striker swept at the ball, gets a glove. From the glove, it pops up and is now going to go and land on top of the stumps. The striker sees this, but meanwhile, the keeper that was standing up is now trying to catch the ball. The striker, in trying to protect the wicket, hits the ball away. Keeper was also trying to catch the ball. There will be an appeal. You're going to give the striker out obstructing the field. Yes, the law allows for the striker to protect or to guard his or her wicket, but you cannot obstruct a catch from being taken. If that is the case, you're going to be given out. In point 1, I mentioned if the delivery is a no ball and there is willful obstruction by either batter, it will be the striker that will be out. But point 3 tells us if the ball is a no ball and there is an obstruction catch being taken, it will be whoever caused the obstruction that will be given out. So like in my first example, where bowler delivers a ball, but this time it is, let's say, a front foot no ball. The ball gets hit in the air. Bowler sits under the ball. Now the non-striker willfully bumps into the bowler. The bowler doesn't take the catch. They appeal. In this scenario, you're going to give the non-striker out because it's a non-striker that caused the obstruction. But this is only off the no ball. So point 1 and 3 is almost the same. The only difference is point 1 is not a no ball, and here you give the striker out if there's obstruction of a catch. And point 3 is, yes, it is a no ball, but now you need to focus on, because of the no ball, you need to focus on who caused the obstruction, and that batter to be given out. So when it comes to a run scored when the batter is dismissed obstructing the field, I'll start with point 2 first. If at any given time there was willful obstruction and it prevents the striker from being out caught, no runs to be scored. But point 1, if there was an obstruction or distraction, runs completed by the batters, that to be scored. The run-out law. I'm first going to focus on when a batter will be out, either batter will be out run out. Then I'm going to focus when the batters will not be out run out. Let's first look at when a batter will be out run out. At any time while the ball is still alive, while that ball is still in play, if the law wants the batters to have some part of the person or bat grounded behind the popping crease at their respective ends. If not, and the wicket is fairly put down by the action of any of the 11 fielders, and there's an appeal, either batter to be given out the run out. So while that ball is still in play, they need to stay or we have something grounded behind the popping crease at their respective ends. If not, and the wicket is put down by the fielder, that either batter can be given out run out. Even if no ball is called, because we know there are 3 ways that you can be dismissed of a no ball, and a run out is one of them. And also, batters needs to stay behind the crease at their respective ends. Whether they ran or not is irrelevant. While the ball is still in play, if they're not behind the crease and the wicket gets put down by any of the 11 fielders and they appeal, batter to be given out. Batter might argue, yeah, but I didn't attempt to run. It's irrelevant in the law. As long the law wants you, while that ball is in play, you need to have some part of your bat or person grounded behind the popping crease at your respective ends. If not, and the wicket is put down, out, run out. So now we know how a batter can be out, run out. There are instances where a batter to be not out, run out. Let's have a look at those instances. There are 3 of them. Firstly, a batter will be not out, run out if that batter has been within his or her ground, and after making good the ground, they then left it And the only reason why they left it was they wanted to avoid getting hurt or injured. And after leaving it, now the wicket was put down. I'll give you an example to illustrate this. Just visualize the following. Ball gets delivered, the striker hits it to fine leg, and they jog through for a run. The striker may good the ground at the bowler's end, and now the non-striker makes good the ground at the keeper's end. So the non-striker gets to behind the popping crease at the wicket keeper's end. But now fine leg picks up the ball, and from fine leg, a bullet throw comes into the keeper. The non-striker sees this ball coming in from fine leg, and is this bullet throw coming in. And not to get hurt, the non-striker then backs away to get out of the way of the ball. And in backing away to get out of the path of the ball, the non-striker now leaves the crease. The keeper now takes the ball and sees, oh, the non-striker is not behind the popping crease. Now takes off the bails and appeal. What is your answer going to be as the strikers in umpire? You are going to say not out to the appeal. They're going to ask you, umpire, but why not out? Because clearly when I took the wicket down, I, the keeper, the non-striker was not behind or had nothing grounded behind the popping crease. Your answer to that comment was, is going to be, because yes, initially the non-striker made good the ground. You see, only left it to avoid injury. The ball was coming in, bullet throw came in from fine leg. So made good the ground, only left it to avoid injury. And then you put the wicket down. So now because of, yes, it made it, then left it to avoid injury, that non-striker now, or that batter gets immunity from being run out. But you need to look at each situation, and you need to be satisfied that, and there's two conditions you need to look out. Firstly, the striker needs to make, or the batter needs to have made good the ground. That's the first condition. And the second one is, yes, they made good the ground, and they only left it to avoid injury. If both those conditions are in place, the batter gets immunity from being run out. But if the batter is, dozing off and just left the crease for no reason, and the keeper takes off the bails, no immunity for that batter. That batter can be run out. But point one, they get immunity if they made the ground and they left it to avoid injury. Happy. Point two, also batter not to be given, not run out. The law wants one of the 11 fielders to touch the ball first, and then it goes onto the stumps and put the wicket down, and let's say either batter is outside the crease. So there must be a touch by one of the 11 fielders. If there's no touch and it goes against the stumps and wicket is down, not out. If the ball goes against a non-striker and goes against the stumps and the non-striker short of the ground, not out. Why not out? Because the law wants a fielder to touch the ball. The non-striker is not one of the 11 fielders. So must be a touch. If there's no touch, even if it goes against the stumps, even if it goes, the non-striker is outside the ground, your answer to that appeal will be not out. They'll ask you why, and you say, the law wants one of you touch it. None of you touch the ball. That's why I'm going not out. And then lastly, when a batter will be not out, a run out. And I need to give you an example to illustrate this. Just visualize the following. Spinner bowling, keeper standing up. Spinner delivers the ball. Umpire, bowlers in umpire calls no ball because the front foot is over the line. There's nothing, no part of the front foot behind the popping crease. So bowlers in umpire calls no ball. Spinner bowls a loopy delivery, batter double steps, misses. Keeper takes the ball, takes off the bails, and appeal to the strikers in umpire. The keeper will appeal. You, the strikers in umpire, is going to say, keeper, that's not out. Firstly, you cannot be stumped off a no ball. Then the keeper will say, yeah, but umpire, okay, I'm not appealing for stumping, I'm appealing for run out. Then your answer to that appeal is going to be also not out, keeper, because the striker gets immunity if a no ball was called and the striker didn't attempt to run and keeper takes off the bails, striker gets immunity from being run out. So these are the three examples where a batter will be not out run out. Tom, the last law that I'm covering is Law 41, fair and unfair play. There's only 2 subsections under this law that I'm covering. And then after covering the 2 subsections, I'll hand back to you. The first subsection under Law 41 that I'm covering is, it's the match ball and the changing of condition of the match ball. And I want to focus on what a player is allowed to do and what a player is not allowed to do with the ball. So firstly, the law allows umpires at any given time, you don't need a reason to inspect the ball. It's unfair, it's an offense for any player to take any action that will change the condition of the ball. So what is a player allowed to do with the ball and what they're not allowed to do? Firstly, any of the 11 fielders, they are allowed to polish the ball. And they can polish the ball on their clothing, but they're not allowed to use any artificial substance. You're only allowed to use one natural substance. That's the only thing that's allowed. And what is this natural substance? Sweat. Nothing else can be used. Saliva is totally outlawed according to the laws. Only substance that you can use to put on the ball is sweat. Secondly, if there is mud on the ball, the law allows you to remove the mud off the ball, but if there is mud, go to the umpire, just show the umpire, there's mud on this ball, I'm going to remove it, so it needs to be done under the supervision of the umpire. And then lastly, you are allowed to dry a wet ball on a piece of cloth, but these pieces of cloth needs to be approved by the umpires. So these are the only 3 things that fielders are allowed to do. And lastly, Tom, what punishment is there if there was a deliberate distraction, deception, or a deliberate obstruction after the ball was delivered and one of the fielding side caused it to either of the batters? What is the punishment? It's quite a harsh punishment. Let's go through it. But firstly, you need to be 100% sure, and that's why it's good umpiring practice to go discuss it with your colleague, because the law wants there to be a willful attempt. If it's accidental in any way, you go not out. But if it's willful, and it can be by word or action, and this willful attempt was either to distract, obstruct, or deceive either of the batter after the ball was delivered, look at the punishment. When it happens, you need to call and signal dead ball. Neither batter to be dismissed from that delivery. 5 penalty runs to the batting side. Ball not to count as 1 for the over. Runs completed to be scored. And also, and this is the only place in the law that you'll find this, where the law gives the run that is in progress, and it's irrelevant whether the batters has crossed or not. And then the batters at the wicket, also the only place in the law that you'll find this, where the batters at the wicket, they can decide which of them should face the next delivery. And then lastly, you need to inform everyone. You've given the punishment, so inform both captains, inform the batters of what you've just did, and you need to report this to the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. Tom, thank you so much. That's all revision slides I have. Handing back over to you.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. 1 hour and 45 minutes later. That is a very thorough revision session. And I can guarantee the candidates that if they go through that revision slides that you have just gone through, they will be ready for the exam. So you would have received an email from me earlier this afternoon, and that was the email address for the logistics for the exam coming up, and also it was containing the links for downloading the slides that were presented from lecture number 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the entire level 2 presentation. And then the revision slides that Abdullah presented now were also on that email. So you have got the full 200 slide presentation, and you've got the revision slides, which are 75 slides. Now we're going to have a look at what happens for the rest of the course in terms of the exam. Very importantly, there are 2 exam day options. Wednesday, the 24th of September, 2 p.m. South African time, or Monday, the 29th of September, 6 p.m. South African time. We need to contact our exam provider, and they need to enroll you for Cricket South Africa's Level 2 exam. We need to email them by Monday, the 22nd of September. We need to tell them who is writing the online exam when. So, whether you have paid your exam fee by then yet or not, you need to tell us by Monday, the 22nd of September, when you are writing your exam. So please reply to any one of the emails that I've been sending you throughout the course to say, Tom, I would like to write my exam online on Wednesday, the 24th of September or Monday, the 29th of September. You cannot choose both days. You will write either on one of the 2 days. And if you write on Wednesday, we will not mark your paper. And if you fail, then you can write again on Monday. No, we will only start marking the papers after Monday, the 29th of September. So please choose one of those days and email your date to me on or before Monday, the 22nd of September. The exam fees, we have made those payable on Thursday, the 25th of September, because in South Africa, many people get paid on the 25th of every month. So just in case they don't have the money to pay for the exam now, they can pay on the 25th of September. Please email your proof of payments to training@wpcua.co.za. Email exam link emails will be sent to online exam candidates 36 hours before their exam time. So if you are writing at 2 p.m. South African time on the Wednesday, the 24th of September, then you will receive the exam link email from Exam Online on Monday, I think 2 a.m. South African time. So you've got a day and a half to check your minimum system requirements, and I will show you a click-by-click demonstration of the minimum system requirements for the exam to work online. Anyone not in Cape Town will be writing the exam via exam.hostexam.net. Members of umpires associations in South Africa, they all need to write at their home association. So if you belong to Boland Umpires Association, you'll write at Boland Park. If you belong to KwaZulu-Natal Cricket Umpires Association, you will write at Kingsmead, and so forth. The members of Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, they will be notified of the exam venue on Tuesday, the 23rd of September. We will get the desired venue after we know how many people are writing on Wednesday and how many people are writing on Monday. So Western Province Cricket Umpires Association members, please email me which day you will be writing on by Monday, the 22nd of September. And on Tuesday, the 23rd of September, you will be informed the venue for your written exam. The exam for everyone is 100 marks with 2 to 5 mark questions. So it's no true or false questions, no multiple choice questions, and it is a closed book exam, and you have to give full descriptive answers. No one-word exam answers are going to give you 2 to 5 marks. The exam is 2 hours long and the pass mark is 80%. So you need a minimum of 80 marks out of 100 to that exam. The exams will be marked by Monday, the 13th of October, and you will be emailed your results. And 2 weeks later, for the very latest, those of you who have passed will get your certificates by email. Apologies for the next line, that should not be there. Level 3 will start in late November or December. Once Abdullah and I have got our Cricket South Africa umpiring appointments for November and December, we will schedule the Cricket South Africa Level 3 umpiring course lecture dates. All Level 2 passes will be emailed the course material and logistics email for Level 3 a week before the first lecture. Now, the click-by-click demonstration for the online exam is about to follow. Please note that this is a recording from January when the Level 3 exam was just about to be written. Okay, so any references to dates in January, please ignore those. You know the dates for your exam. It's either Wednesday, the 24th of September, or Monday, the 29th of September. Otherwise, everything will work exactly the same. And if you have any questions or you want to watch this demonstration again, I have posted a link to this recording on our chat box. It is normally 53 minutes long, but what I'm doing is I'm going to play it at 1.5 times the speed so that it only takes 33 minutes to get through this video. If there are any questions, I will take them after the video. And please, you need to follow these instructions carefully. Otherwise, you won't get into the exam, or if you're in the exam, you might get kicked out because there are very strict instructions that need to be adhered to.
You will receive such an email from assessors@examonline.in. The subject of the email will be registration information, and the name that the email will be coming from, it says Umpires Association. The message will be short and sweet. It will say, dear, you have been registered for the Cricket South Africa Level 3 umpiring exam. and it will give you the URL that you need to copy and paste into a Google Chrome browser. Google Chrome is the recommended browser for the exam. If you don't have Google Chrome, I would suggest downloading it before your exam date. I first tried the exam website using Safari, which is my default browser on my MacBook, and Safari didn't work. I know Abdullah managed to use Microsoft Edge successfully for his demo exam. So we know that Safari doesn't work. We know that Google Chrome works. We know that Microsoft Edge works. The recommended browser by the exam online administrators is Google Chrome. So I'm currently using Safari, so I would copy this link and I would paste it into Google Chrome. And then I would also copy my user ID and copy my password into Google Chrome. Here I've got to Google Chrome and I've copied and pasted the user ID and my password. And I just need to click on this box to verify that I'm not a robot. Once I have verified that I'm not a robot, I then sign myself in. When you sign in, you will see the exam that you have been scheduled for. So I have previously done a couple of demos, and you can see that I've completed one and I missed the other one. You will only see one exam that you are scheduled to. That will be Cricket South Africa Level 3. And the window period for which you can write your exam will be for the 4th of January if you're writing on Saturday, and it will be for the 6th of January if you are writing on Monday. For the purposes of this demo, they have opened a window period for me from today until the 6th of January. So then we click on Start. And firstly, you have to accept the terms and conditions of the use of the website. And the terms are as follows. This exam is conducted through remote proctoring. Your photo will be captured and your screen will be shared and recorded. Your audio and video might be recorded for future reference. So you need to accept to be able to continue. Next screen tells us that before we proceed to the exam, let's check the subsequent requirements, the system requirements to ensure a seamless experience. Okay, so click on Begin Process, and there is a troubleshooting guide here if you do have any problems with the system requirements testing process that I'm about to begin. So it is checking our internet connectivity, and you do need to make sure that you have got good Wi-Fi. It then checks my webcam. It says your photo captured during this check will be utilized for artificial intelligence verification during the exam. Please ensure to capture a clear image of yourself. Your face must be positioned inside the oval, optimal camera distance, and the photo must be clear. I'm just going to come slightly closer to the camera, and then I'm going to click my picture. So it's taken the picture, and it says kindly verify whether you can submit the photo you captured to the proctor for authorization. And I'm happy with this picture. It shows my face. And so I'm going to save and go on to the next screen. If you're not happy with the picture that you've taken, maybe you had turned your head to the side, then you need to click again and you'll be able to take another picture. So once I have saved my picture, then I am going to now take a picture of my identity document. This is to verify that it is indeed Thomas Mokorosi who's going to be writing the exam. So we need to lift up our identity card or document. You can use your passport or your official country's ID to take a picture thereof. Get as close to the camera on your device as possible. And then once you can read the letters on the identity document or card, then you click capture my ID. So just take that step slowly, that you make sure that the text is readable. It's just about readable on my side. It says TC Mokorosi, driver's license, and you can see the picture of my ID. So I'm happy with that, and I go save and next. Now what happens is refer to the instructions mentioned in the right panel for steps to enable screen sharing. Now I'm going to share my screen on this website so that my proctor, Abdullah Steenkamp, can watch me and monitor my actions throughout the exam. So I need to click on share screen. And yes, we're going to share the entire screen. And I'm going to click on the entire screen option, and I'm going to share. And please make sure that you're not sharing your Chrome tab, you're not sharing your Chrome window, you're sharing your entire screen. And then I click on share. And then it notifies you that your system is set for screen sharing. And you can then hide this message. Otherwise, it stays on there for the duration of your exam. You don't need it on there for the duration of your exam. Please, whatever you do, do not click on stop sharing, rather click on hide. Because if you stop sharing your screen, then the proctor, Abdullah or myself, who will be doing the proctoring for the exams, will not authorize your admittance into the exam room. So while I was mentioning all of that, the system was doing a final check on my device and internet connections, and it says that your device is all set for the online proctored exam. Let's initiate the authorization process. And when I click on continue, you will see that I am being assigned to a proctor, and I should then see Abdullah. But Abdullah, what he has done on his side as the proctor, he has authorized me, and I am now ready to write my exam. So if there is any requirement from the proctor for you to retake the picture of yourself or the picture of your identity document, then the proctor will appear in this black screen, or they will type a message to you that will appear in your screen, and then you will be directed to retake your picture or pictures. But Abdullah has authorized me straight away because he saw my 2 pictures and he was happy with them. And then I can begin examination. What Abdullah or myself as the proctors might also do is ask you as the exam candidate to show your room surroundings using the webcam of your device. So this is to ensure that there is no material or devices that you can use to help you in the exam, and also to ensure that you're the only person in the room. Remember that it is a closed book exam, and you are not allowed to make use of any devices or material on your laptop or anywhere else in the room. So Proctor, Abdullah, I'm showing you my room, which has got a couple of pool floaters in them, and a wall heater, and a drying machine. And there you can see my desk, which has got a printer on it. My phone is in the room, and we will see later in the demonstration that you are not allowed to use your phone. You are allowed to use your phone if that is the only device you have available to you. So this website can be accessed by a mobile phone. It can be accessed by a tablet, but it is preferred and recommended that you use a laptop or a desktop computer for best user interface and experience. So I'm going to click on begin examination, and what you will see is it takes a bit of a while to load, and also it needs to be time for you to write the exam. So for example, the exam is going to start at 9 a.m. South African time on Saturday. If you have done all of your authorizations by 8:45, for example, you will not be allowed into the exam room before 9 a.m. So we will open the authorization section of this process at 8:30, which is 30 minutes before the exam is set to start. And Abdullah and I will be authorizing exam candidates in that 30-minute window period before the exam starts. But once you have been authorized, you cannot start your exam before 9 a.m. What you will be able to do is you will be able to read the exam instructions, and these exam instructions currently are not 100% configured for Cricket South Africa. For you on Saturday and on Monday, they will be configured to read exactly how Cricket South Africa needs the exam instructions to read. So take your time to read thoroughly through the exam instructions. There will be instructions such as the room must be quiet and you be alone in the room. No cell phones are allowed to be used except if you're using your cell phone for the exam. No law book, no notes, and no open documents on your computer are to be used. No screenshots of the website are to be taken. No copying and pasting is allowed. No talking to anyone except the proctor during the exam. If you need to go to the toilet, you may ask the proctor for permission. All movement and sounds are documented by artificial intelligence, and proctoring reports will be generated for each exam candidate after the end of the exam. So that is what you will be reading while you wait for your exam to start. When you have read and understood the instructions, then you click on the checkbox and you can begin your exam. Just a heads up, it says here exam time is 60 minutes. The level 3 exam is supposed to be written in 3 hours, which is 180 minutes. But because this is a new process for all of us, and not everybody is fast on typing, we are allowing a maximum of 3 hours and 45 minutes for you to answer all the questions in the Cricket South Africa level 3 umpiring exam. You will see the time count down as you go through the exam. So now I'm going to begin examination, and here you will see that the questions come up, and you see immediately how many questions there are in total. There are 24 questions in this particular demo exam, and if they are related questions, they all come up at the same time. So question 1 has 4 sub-questions, question 1.1, question 1.2, question 1.3, and question 1.4, and all 4 of them are displayed at the same time because you need to use the information. Sometimes you need to use the information of the one question to answer the next question, or at least the body of the top of the question to answer the subsections of the question. So you can, once you have read the question, type your answer into the text box provided, and you need to, especially where you have more than one question displayed at the same time, you need to type in 1.1. So in a 4-day match, lunch is scheduled from 12:10 to 12:50. Team Red is all out at 12:03 after facing 31.3 overs from the allotted 100 overs in the day's play. So the question says, discuss in full timings and overs, the procedure according to law that you will follow in each of these scenarios. So here, when the innings ends of Team Red at 12:03, it is 7 minutes before the scheduled lunch break of 12:10. So law tells us that we need to take lunch immediately. So we will go through it tomorrow in the revision lecture, that you need to, when answering your questions, you need to type out the law that is relevant to the question, or at least your understanding thereof. We don't expect you to memorize and know each law word by word, and you definitely don't need to mention which law says this particular terminology. So you just need to type your understanding of the law. So I will say here, law says that if an innings ends 10 minutes or less before the scheduled lunch break, lunch shall be taken immediately and shall be of the agreed length. Therefore, in this scenario, we will take lunch from 12:03 to 12:43. The 10 minutes for 10 minutes interval for change of innings shall be included in the 40-minute lunch break. No overs shall be lost for the change of innings. I think it's a good idea to say, therefore, no overs shall be lost for the change of innings. And you can easily correct your spelling. You cannot right-click on the words. You just need to see where you have gone wrong with your spelling and correct accordingly. Therefore, okay. So whenever there's a question with overs noted in the question, then we need to mention how many overs are left in the day. So 100 minus 32 is equal to 68 overs remaining in the day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you would get 4 marks for this particular question, question 1.1. So we've answered 1.1 because the questions of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 are all on the same page, we will answer them all in the same text box. So I'll go 1.2 and I'll put in the answer for 1.2. I'm not going to read the question and answer it fully. 1.3, another answer. 1.4, hopefully another correct answer. Okay. What you will have noticed as well is that there are artificial intelligence flags in red showing me that they can see that there's speaking or lip movements detected. Okay, so that is part of the proctoring process. And whenever there's a red flag, the proctor, Abdullah, on his side is seeing these flags and might intervene and send you a message. Abdullah, maybe you can send me a message on your side and say, Tom, we have detected lip movement, please stop talking. And I want the candidates to see that message pop up on my screen as the exam candidate. While Abdullah does that, I'm going to show you how then to move on to the next question. There I click on next and it has saved my submission for questions 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and it's taken me to the next question, which is question 2. So here the live chat has just popped up. It says, hi Tom, we've detected lip movement, please stop talking. So that is a first and final warning from the proctor to the exam candidate. And if there is continued infringements of the instructions given by the proctor, then the proctor, Abdullah, you can also type any further infringements and we will terminate your exam. That is the serious nature in which we take these infringements. That is why we have invested in the software. It is a world-leading proctoring software and it records all movements. You will see if I move away from the screen, what it will say. It will show that no person present. So this is obviously a problem because I, as the exam candidate, have not asked permission of the proctor for me to leave. So what I should do beforehand is I should ask, hi, proctor, may I please go to the toilet? And then the proctor will say yes or no. And if he or she does say yes, then they will tell me how long I have to go to the toilet and come back. So Abdullah, you can type in there that yes, you may go to the toilet. Please be back in 3 minutes. And that we will obviously not allow you to go to the toilet 10 times during the exam. We will monitor your behavior and might even disallow toilet visits if we suspect any cheating from your first toilet visit. What I want to show you as well, after submitting this next question's answer, is if I try to navigate away from this exam screen, what is going to happen? So I'm going to minimize. I'm going to exit full screen, and I'm going to go to the presentation, and I'm going to try and copy and paste some valuable information from the presentation. Let's see, what if one of the questions is the deliberate deception of batters. Let's see if I can copy and paste all of that. When I come back to the website of the exam, I cannot paste, okay? And I should get a pop-up warning to say that I have left the screen. Let me just submit another answer. I'm not sure why that pop-up message is not appearing. Let me try it again. I've left that exam screen. When I come back, should give me a warning. There we go. It says you're not allowed to navigate away from the exam screen. 2 more attempts would lead to disqualification from the exam. Okay, so you have a maximum of 3 allowances to navigate away from the screen. You should not be navigating away from the screen during the exam. The only reason that we do give 2 or 3 attempts is you could navigate to another screen by mistake. So we will allow you 3 mistakes. On the 4th time that you navigate away from the screen, we will then immediately terminate, the system will immediately terminate your exam and it will not be marked. So that is how strict the system is in terms of navigating away from the screen.
Tom, just to add, as a proctor, you can only navigate away from the screen if you have a If
Yes.
someone navigates to another screen, I'm able to see the screen because the candidate see the entire screen. I
Correct.
can see where the candidate has scrolled to, and I can actually see everything. If you try to copy and paste, I can see your screen as a proctor. Over.
Perfect. Thanks, Abdullah. Yes, always keep in mind that Big Brother is watching. So Abdullah and I will be proctoring all of your exams coming up on Saturday and on Monday. And yes, we might have up to 30 candidates each that we need to proctor, but we will have visibility of all of your screens, and we will maximize whoever screen has a red flag. Whenever there's a red flag, that candidate, their icon is highlighted. We will go to that candidates and enlarge their screen so that we can see why there's a red flag, and we will either by word or by verbally or by texting you, we will warn you of the infringements that you have just committed. So please, ladies and gents, like I said, we've invested a lot in this proctoring software because of the issues that we had in the level 2 online exam that we were running via Microsoft Teams. It just was not secure enough. Cricket South Africa has forced us to invest in a secure proctored exam solution. This is it. The user interface, as you can see, is very easy to use. And also, if your device and your internet connection is good, then you will easily complete the exam in good time. So I'm just going to flip through more answers, and we might not make it to the 24 out of 24, but let's try and do that so that you can see what happens right at the end of the exam. I'm just going through my notes to make sure that I have gone through everything that I need to. If you don't finish in your allocated 3 hours and 45 minutes, it will just submit the answers that you have been able to get through. Let us mark a question for review. So if we're not 100% sure of what we are submitting for this particular question, then we click on mark for review, and then it will actually, at the end, it will tell us before you submit all of your answers that, hang on, you wanted to go back to that question to answer it, or you can easily just navigate to previous, and it will take you to the previous question. I think you can go all the way back to the very first question if you want to, but I'm not going to go any further back. I'm just going to change it to mark for review at the end, and then we'll see what we can do at the end. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to speed through the rest of these questions. And these questions are not what you are going to see in your level 3 exam. These are a bunch of revision questions that you might see some of them tomorrow in our revision lecture. Okay, Abdullah, are there any other functionalities or flags that I have forgot to mention in the proctoring process?
No, Tom, you've covered all aspects. Thanks.
Okay, great. What I will do as well is right now I'm going to allow users or candidates to be able to activate their microphones and their cameras. If there are any questions that are directed or related to the exam process, this is a good time to ask while we are going through the demonstration. So if you have questions related to the content that we've delivered, please hold on with those questions. Please, let's just go through any questions, any hands up, Abdullah, related to the exam online procedures. Last warning, you're not allowed to navigate away from the exam screen. One more attempt will lead to disqualification. So that will be my last navigation away from the screen. Abdullah, I see a few hands up.
Yes, Tom. First hand was Connor. Connor, can you unmute your microphone and ask your question, please, Connor?
Good evening, Abdullah and Tom. I just want to ask a question that is based on in a match that I saw that happened during a club match here in PE. So basically what happened was...
Connor, we're going to open the floor later on for questions. The questions now is only with regards to the exam, the proctoring, any questions. Once we open the floor once we go through the chat box, answer those questions, we'll then open the floor for any other related questions. So don't keep your question. You can ask it later on. Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, Abdullah. Thanks.
Okay. Venkat, you next. Can you unmute your microphone and ask your question, please? And after Venkat, Abir.
Abdullah, I see that we've got some hands up. So we can take questions for the proctoring exam process. Abdullah, please advise who had their hand up first, and we'll take their question. Abdullah, Firstly, I need to make everybody's options. Hold on. Okay. Okay, just a sec while I get everybody mics and cameras activated. Okay. Rifat, I think you want to ask a question related to laws and playing conditions. So I will come back to you afterwards. Isanula, you put your hand up while the show was going on. Please unmute your microphone and ask a question related to the online exam process. Isanula? Isanula?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go
Are you
ahead.
hearing me?
Yes,
Okay, sir.
loud and
You
clear.
all
Go
know
ahead.
that I'm living. Okay, are you all know that I'm living in Afghanistan? Here in Afghanistan, the internet system is very slow, but also I'm living in a village. On the day of the exam, I must go to the city for a better internet connection. So I have to sit somewhere in the park. If you don't have any complaint that you are not sitting in a room, in a blank room, so I have to sit somewhere in a park. I have to sit somewhere in a record ground, but I will be alone and I will be answering your question there. Can I do that?
Yes, that's fine as long as you're alone, Isanula, not a problem.
Yes, yes, I will be alone. I will be alone.
That's 100% fine, no problem. Thank you. All the best for your exam.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next hand up, Chaitanya, please unmute your microphone and ask a question related to the exam process.
Very good evening, sir. Actually, I have some renovations going in my place, and what happened was I skipped many of the lectures. I just wanted to ask that there be calculations also in this exam, since I saw on your level 3's examination which you're showing right now, there were calculations. So is there any calculations part which need to be done for this examination, or which because I was unable to attend all the lectures this time around. I'll be going through the slides tomorrow after onwards.
Chaitanya, good question. The answer is no. For the Cricket South Africa Level 2 exam, there are no calculations, so you do not need a calculator. No devices will be allowed in the room where you are. No calculators, no phones, unless you're using your phone to write the exam. And no books, no second computer screens, please. So Chaitanya, you will need your calculator for level 3 when you get there, but not for level 2. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
You're welcome. Next hand up, all the way from the Pearl of Africa, Uganda. Sharon, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Tom. Good evening, everyone. My question concerning the Protea issue is, what happens, because at times the last time I attempted to do my exams, my internet was on and off. I'll be honest, it is raining down here in Uganda, and at times it rains heavily that even the internet at times goes off. I pray that that day things goes on well for me. But what happens if, because last time when I was trying to attempt my exams, it could go off like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. So what happens? Do you compensate that time when the internet, I know you can dictate that it's internet. So if you can dictate that it's internet on my side, do you compensate that time, or the time continues flowing like the 2 hours flows? That's what I want to know.
Good question, Sharon. So because we know that some people do have internet issues and also some people do type slowly, we allow everyone 2 hours and 30 minutes worth of time for their exam. So if you get kicked off because of your internet disconnecting, you will the time will continue. So you need to get back into the exam room as soon as possible. And your time will carry on from where you left off. So if you look at the screen at the moment, the time is on 31:33 and counting down. And what will happen is if you go out of the exam because of internet connectivity and you come back in, you will find that the time has reduced while you were away. And so if you are away for more than half an hour, then unfortunately you're going to lose more than half an hour worth of time. But in fact, the exam won't let you back in if you were disconnected for more than 5 minutes. Simply because if you disconnect for more than 5 minutes, then we don't know if you're checking your law book, if you're checking any other material that can help you for the exam. So you need to come back as soon as possible, Sharon, and your time will keep going down. But because of that, we will give everybody 2 hours and 30 minutes to complete the exam from start to finish. I hope that answers your question, Sharon.
Very well explained to me, Tom. Thank you so much, and Abdul, and all the best to the rest of attendees.
Thank you, Sharon. You're welcome. All the best to you as well. I see Isanula has put his hand up again. Isanula, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. I also have a question regarding to internet, the slowness of internet. You know that we are in Afghanistan. Like you mentioned that with the previous question, answering to the previous question, if we are disconnected from because of the slow internet and we regain it within the 5 minutes, as you told that if you are disconnected more than 5 minutes, then we will get you out of the exam. So if we disconnected for 2 minutes and again disconnected, is there some warning or not? Because we have big issue of internet, of slow internet in part.
Isanula, you can be disconnected up to 10 times and you can come back in 10 times. That is the maximum times that you can come back into the exam. You can be disconnected for more than 5 minutes in total, but you cannot be disconnected for more than 5 minutes at once. So if you're disconnected for more than 5 minutes at once, then the exam will not let you back in. If you're disconnected for 4 minutes and 59 seconds at one time, then the exam will let you back in, and then you can be disconnected again and again and again. But of course, your time will keep running while you are disconnected. So try and make sure that you come back into the exam room as soon as possible. We cannot allow you to write for 5 hours, Isanula. There has to be a limit, and 2.5 hours is the limit. No matter how many times you get disconnected, as long as you're not disconnected for more than 5 minutes, you can come back into the exam room. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, I got it. We will pray for a better internet connection on that day.
Inshallah. Next hand up is Sundaresh. Sundaresh, please unmute your microphone and ask a question related to the exam, online exam.
Hi, Tom. I'm calling from Netherlands, so I hope we will not have any internet issues. This exam seems to be more rigorous. In the first attempt, first level, we had options for taking 5 times. 5 attempts, right? So is there an option to take a second attempt?
Sundaresh, if you do not pass Cricket South Africa's level 2 exam, you will get, if you get 65% or more, so more than 65% but less than 80%, you will be allowed a free rewrite the next time that we have the Cricket South Africa level 2 exam, which will be in April 2026. There will not be a immediate rewrite anytime soon. The cricket season in South Africa starts next week, Thursday. Abdullah and I have got packed schedules and we won't be able to reschedule any exams anytime soon. We will have level 3 in November, December. We'll have level 1 again in February. We will have level 2 again in April 2026. So that will be the next option for a rewrite. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Rifat, do you have a question related to the online exam process, or shall we finish that portion and then we'll get to your law and playing condition questions later?
Yes. Question about exam.
Okay.
I am if the exam level 2 exam will be held on 24th and 29th. If anyhow anyone cannot pass the examination, do he or she allowed for the next time for the level 2 course, and do he or she participate for the second time next after the period?
Yes, I've just mentioned to Sundaresh that if you get between 65 and 79% for this level 2 exam, you can rewrite for free next year, April, when we have level 2 again. I hope that answers your question, Rifat.
If I anyhow I skip for this time, I want to participate for the next time, is it allowed, or is end of the journey?
Yes, you can participate Cricket South Africa's level 2 course next year, April.
Next year April, is it?
That is the next time we will have level 2, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Rifat. Now I'm going to play the rest of the instruction video to show you how to submit the exam once you've finished answering all of the questions.
All of your questions again, if you want to check your answers before submitting, all the way from question 1 through to question 24, or however many questions there are. I think there's 27 in the real level 3 exam. So now I'm going to submit exam. And it says, are you sure you want to submit the test? 24 questions answered, 0 for review, 0 not answered. Happy days, submit. The exam has been submitted successfully. Please wait while the recording has been saved. If this process exceeds 5 minutes, feel free to close the exam window. And also, when you submit the exam and it has finished saving your recording, the proctor is informed that you have completed your exam. So there it is. Your exam is submitted. You may close the window now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the proctoring process of our new online exams. And you can see that that new exam has moved from my portal under registered, or I think something to that effect. It has moved down to past exams and ticked as completed. Then what will happen is the exam markers will go into the portal and they will mark the exams online. And once they've all marked, and then they will be, somebody will check all the marks, and then once we're happy with all the marks, then we will automatically send you your results by email. So all online, all very interactive and a smooth process, a secure process. And I'm sure you noted that there weren't any issues in terms of the authorization from the proctor's side and the communication with the proctor as well during the exam, if there are any red flags, is either by speaking or by text. You stick to the rules, you won't need to hear from the proctor. You will probably get the results depending on how many candidates we have writing.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is what the exam looks like, and I hope that it will be as simple as you have seen it in that demonstration video. Once again, you can watch that video on YouTube. I have put the link on the chat box before I started playing the video. So now we're going to go to the chat box and we are going to go through all the questions and comments that you have posted while we were presenting. Mohammed Tuki asks for a fielder absent from the field with an acceptable reason, like he or she is off for a school exam. Will this be treated as an external blow? Mohammed, we know that it is not an external blow, but yes, if a fielder is off the field for a wholly acceptable reason, that is not injury, an internal injury or illness, then yes, when they return to the field of play, they do not have to serve penalty time. They are exempt from serving penalty time and they can bowl immediately. Ansh asks, Abdullah, can you please repeat the 4 ways that a wicket can be fairly put down if the bails have fallen off? So we're not playing without bails, we're playing with bails, but earlier in that delivery, the bails have fallen off. Now the bowler or the wicketkeeper or any other fielder wants to put the wicket down. How can they do that, please, Abdullah?
So, Ans, as you correctly pointed out, 4 ways. The first way is, so visualize the following: ball in hand, and you take the ball in hand and you hit one of the stumps completely out the socket or out the ground. That's the first way of putting the wicket down. But it must be ball in hand, and with a bit of force, you hit the stump, and the stump must be completely out the ground. That's the first way of putting the wicket down. The second way of putting the wicket down, ball in hand, and together you put the ball against the stump, and together with the 2 hands you pull one of the stumps out of the ground. I had a pic in the slides that I show you. That was the correct way of putting the wicket down. Ball in hand and with the other hand, and together pulling a stump out of the ground. Correct way of putting the wicket down. That's the second way. The third way of putting the wicket down, with the ball in hand, you throw it at the stumps, but you need to throw it with a bit of force, because the law wants the ball, after throwing it, to strike one of the stumps completely out the groove. So it cannot be lying 45 degrees. After throwing it, it needs to be completely out the groove. And if it's completely out the groove, that is the third way of putting the wicket down. And then the fourth way of putting the wicket down is, with the bails lying on the floor, the law allows any of the 11 fielders, not the umpire, any of the 11 fielders to pick up either one bail, put it back on top of the stumps, take the ball and hit the one bail off. That wicket is down. Or the fielder can take both bails, put it back on top of the stumps, and with the ball take off one bail or both bails, and that is the fourth way of putting the wicket down. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Next question is from William. Is it leg before wicket if the ball touches the glove of the striker and the glove is not holding the bat? William, we have had this incident on a Make the Call episode. So I'm going to play that video for us, and we can all watch and learn from the experience that you are asking about.
Close to the match, you need to confirm to data please. Waiting for the reference. Just keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. Yes. Satisfied, no better more. Therefore, don't take in memory, please. Okay. Isn't this amount?
So, William, to answer your question, no bat involved, no glove involved. Why? Because the glove was not holding the bat. So if the glove is not holding the bat, it is not considered as part of the bat. It is considered as part of the person of the striker. So that is as good as the ball hitting the pad. So in that scenario, that was at the ICC World Cup qualifiers 2 years ago in Zimbabwe. The on-field umpire gave the striker out LBW, and the striker reviewed it. Upon review, the TV umpire realized that the glove was not holding the bat when the ball hit it, so it is considered part of the striker's person, and the ball was going on to hit the stumps. So yes, the review was upheld and the striker was given out LBW again by the TV umpire. So yes, out LBW, William. Another question from William Abdullah. If the batter takes a quick single and in his stride, he tries to avoid the bowler by running around the bowler, but then in running around the bowler gets in the way of the throw from the fielder, there is a huge appeal for obstructing the field. Abdullah, what would you give as a decision there? Out or not out, obstructing the field?
So, William, what you need to judge is, and there's two crucial words that you'll find under the obstructing the field law. The first crucial word that I want to point out is they want an action, whether it's, by word or your action, they want it to be willful. If at any time an action is willful, either batter is liable to be given out obstructing the field. So that is the first thing that you need to look at. Was this action by this batter willful? Was the intent of this batter to try to get into between the throw and the ball, as for the ball not to go against the wicket? Was there a good cricketing reason why this batter slightly changed his or her direction? So if the answer to that question is yes, like looking at this, look, there was a good cricketing reason why the batter changed slightly direction, was because not to run into the batter. The intent looks like the intent of this batter was never to try to get into between the ball and the stumps, as to not so that the ball hit him or her, as to the ball not getting reaching the stumps and trying to run out the batter. So looking at your scenario is always difficult, reading a scenario. But if I try to visualize your scenario, and because I think the intent was not to come in between bat and ball and the wicket, there was a good cricketing reason why the batter changed direction slightly, because it was to avoid the bowler. Wasn't willful. I would give this batter not out if there was an appeal. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Next question is from Isanula. Can we chat to you by voice during the exam or just by typing in the chat box? Isanula, we actually cannot hear what you are saying. We cannot hear cars hooting from behind you outside of the room that you are in. We will only be alerted if you're trying to contact us. If you start talking, then the artificial intelligence will flag lip movements detected. Then we will go to your screen and we will type and say, please don't speak. Please type in your question or comment. So Isanula, no, you cannot chat to us. Well, you can try, but we won't hear you. And remember, you're not allowed to speak during the exam. So all communication to the proctor needs to be typed into the chat box. Mohammed Tuki is worried about the slow internet in Afghanistan. Mohammed, you need a minimum of 1 megabits per second, which is not really that fast in terms of internet. So you will also, 36 hours before your exam, you will get a email. You will get 2 emails, a registration email, and the second email will be a link to test your minimum system requirements. So that minimum system requirements that I did at the beginning of the exam demonstration, you can do that anytime up until your exam, from the time you get the email. So if you're at home, you can check if your system requirements are good enough for the exam. If they are not, then you can take your device, go to your office and check at your office if the system requirements are good enough. If they're not good enough there, then you might need to go to a library and check the system requirements to see if they are good there. Kartikeyan asks, can we write level 2 as many times as we want, irrespective of the result? No, Kartikeyan, you only get 1 attempt now, and hopefully you all pass. If you get 65% or up to 79%, you will get a free rewrite in April 2026 when we next have our level 2 course. If you get below 65%, you are welcome to join us for our level 2 course in April 2026, but you will have to pay for another exam attempt. Ansh says, can I join for level 3 if I haven't passed level 2? Ansh, you are welcome to join our lectures for level 3, but you will not be allowed to write the level 3 exam if you haven't passed level 2. Prince says, with both the exam date options, I will be at my workplace. But here is the case. We are to do this exam in a room alone. Yes, please, Prince, you need to be alone. Prince is a salesperson. Will it be a violation to stand up to attend to a customer, or I have to close the exam before doing that? Prince, please, you need to be alone in the room, and if need be, you need to take leave for those 2 hours. I would prefer you do it at home rather than at your place of employment, because you will get distracted by customers and your boss and anyone else. So please, Prince, when you wrote exams at school, you were not allowed interruptions from customers. You were not allowed interruptions from your boss. Let us treat this exam with the due respect. You need to be alone in a room that's quiet. We cannot make any exceptions for that. Thank you. Karthikeyan has a few questions. First one, we can look at the keyboard and type. Yes, proctored software will not throw errors as no eye contact. So Karthikeyan, the software is actually quite sensitive. If you turn your head to the side, it will say wrong face detected, because what it does, it compares the picture that it took or that you took before your exam. It is constantly comparing that picture to what it sees on the webcam. So obviously, if your head is turned to the side, that is not what the picture looks like. So it will say wrong face detected. If you're looking down, it will also probably say wrong face detected. That will kick out a flag, but we as proctors will go and look to see what flag the system has kicked out, and we will obviously look at it ourselves, and we will see that you're just looking downwards at your keyboard. So we're not going to penalize you for that, and you can carry on as normal. So don't be scared or don't be worried if you see a red flag when you haven't done anything wrong. If you have done something wrong, like leaving the room without asking permission, then you need to be worried about a red flag. Okay. Then Karthikeyan wants to know about the times that he can be disconnected and for how long. Karthikeyan, maximum number of times that you can be disconnected is 10. So after your 10th disconnection, you won't be allowed back into the exam. The maximum duration that you can be disallowed for is 5 minutes for each connection. So you can be disconnected for 4 minutes and 59 seconds for your first disconnection, come back, carry on. You can be disconnected for 4 minutes and 59 seconds for your second disconnection, come back, carry on. So you can be disconnected up to 10 times, and you can be disconnected up to a maximum of 4 minutes and 59 seconds each disconnection. But please try and reconnect as fast as possible. Third question from Karthikeyan. Do we go through all the laws or revision slides is enough? Karthikeyan, the revision slides should be enough if you know them well to pass the exam. Question number 4 from Karthikeyan. The time mentioned for the exam, I will be in meeting or in class. Is there any other way to attend the exam apart from these times? Karthikeyan, we cannot have an endless window period for the exam time. Like I mentioned, Abdullah and I are going to be proctoring the exams. We are only available on those 2 days for those hours. And if you cannot make those exam times, then unfortunately you'll have to join us in the April 2026 for our next level 2 exams. Or you can just take leave from work or from school for 3 hours that you will need for the exam. 15 minutes before and maybe half an hour extra if you have connection issues. Are sounds like rain, insects, bike racing, and sounds from the road going to cause flags? No, Karthikeyan, as I mentioned, we actually don't hear sounds from you. We will just see your visuals, and there will be flags on the AI proctoring software when you are talking. But there won't be any flags from background noise. Is eating or drinking allowed during the exam? Karthikeyan, drinking of water is allowed. That is all consumption that is allowed during the exam. You will be allowed up to 2 toilet breaks and 3 minutes maximum per toilet break. Okay. Timings of the exam, Chaitanya, Wednesday. I'll just put my slide back on. Hold on for me, please. While I share the slide with the exam times. It is Wednesday, the 24th of September, 2 p.m. South African time. That is 17:30 IST, Indian Standard Time. The second option is Monday, the 29th of September, 6 p.m. South African time. That is 21:30 Indian Standard Time. Chaitanya, this slide is on the email that I sent, the level 2 lecture 6 reminder email that I sent earlier. That slide is on there with all the details. Kartikeyan, I've already answered your question about looking down at your keyboard. Isanula, if we're reading the questions with ourselves during the exam, you should not take that as talking with others and give us warnings. Isanula, please read the question in your head. You don't need to read the question out loud. It will just cause unnecessary flags, and we'll have to keep watching you when we could be watching other candidates instead. So if you do need to read the question, do not read it out loud. Read it in your head. Thank you. Mohammed Tuki wants to know how can we ask for leaving for the toilet. Mohammed, either you type into the chat box, please can I go to the toilet, or there is actually a bio break icon that you can click on to request to go to the toilet. Okay. And that icon, I didn't press it in the demonstration, but what we will do is as soon as you log on, we will type a general message to all exam candidates describing where on the user interface for the exam you can press the bio break button. But if you can't find it, just type into the chat box, please may I go to the toilet, and one of the proctors will say yes. Ansh says, how early should we join for the exam? Ansh, you can join any time from 30 minutes before the start of the exam. Depending on how many of you are going to register for the exam. If there's only 15 of you, then we will make the exam login period 15 minutes before the exam. If there are 50 of you who are writing the exam, then we will make the exam login period 30 minutes before the exam. That will all be noted in the email, the registration email that you get from Exam Online 36 hours before your exam. You will know exactly how many minutes you can log in to do the authentication. Okay, Prince wants to know, will there be a violation if I use my phone as a hotspot for my laptop for internet and I try to maybe reconnect or adjust the phone for better connectivity just by changing the location of the phone for that? Yes, Prince, that is a big no-no. The camera should never see the phone, any phone in the room. So you need to either have Wi-Fi connected to your device, or if you are going to be using your phone as a hotspot, put your phone inside your pocket of your jacket, and then it's close enough to the laptop for signal to be excellent. We cannot have you playing around with your phone during the exam. Once again, Prince, I will ask you, when you were writing exams at school, were you allowed to use your phone? Were you allowed to have customers coming into the exam room? No. Please treat this as an exam back in school. Let's be as strict as we were back then. I know it wasn't online back at school, but let's try and maintain the same level of strictness when it comes to exam rules. No use of phones, nobody else with you in the room. Mohammed, okay. Kartikeyan. Only thing that I'm worried is the sound coming from outside because I live nearby where there are a lot of vehicles hooting and it's raining. Kartikeyan, we won't hear the sound, so you don't have to worry about them. Mohammed Tuki, I will give the exam by my phone and probably outdoor. Is it allowed? And for this, I will need my power bank. Is it allowed? Yeah, Mohammed, power bank is allowed, no problem. And outside, I mean, why would you want to be outside, Mohammed? Please unmute your microphone and tell me why you want to write the exam outdoors. Can't you find a room in your house or at your school or at your office? Please rather be in a room, guys. I mean, like I said, let's treat this like a school exam. Would you write an exam outdoors? That doesn't make sense to me. And because you're going to get disturbances if you're outside. That's the only problem. Next question is from Bahadur. There is no PayPal account in Afghanistan, but there is MoneyGram in Africa. Can we deposit money? Bahadur, no, I don't use MoneyGram. We only use PayPal or we use Remitly. So please just reply to one of my emails asking for the bank account that receives international bank account transfers, and I will send you the bank account details of that bank account. Mohammed Shakur, internet would be on and off in New York City. Mohammed, please go to Irfan Syed's house in New York. He's got excellent Wi-Fi that is faster than any Wi-Fi I've ever used in my life. It was never off. It was always on. And you will easily write the exam with no interruptions at Irfan's house. Internet should not be an issue in New York City. Mohammed Tuki, you've already asked if you can use a power bank. Yes, but outside, Mohammed, outside doesn't make sense to me. Please rather find a room that you can write the exam in. There are no more questions in the chat box. There is a hand up in the meeting room. Rifat, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours. Rifat, please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know the question was asked, whether it asked or not. I was watching Afghanistan versus Sri Lanka, a crucial match for Bangladesh in Asia Cup to go to Super 4, and Bangladesh go for the Super 4. Afghanistan is beaten by Sri Lanka, and that's why I cannot hear the lecture properly. And I was umpiring myself I was watching the match and umpiring myself, and one decision is given by mistaken by me. All of the decision is correct. That's I given myself at the end at myself. Come to the point. What kind of answer we can write in the exam? Is it in the language of law book, same to same, or it can or is it make it is it right to make it so make you understandable for the examination? What kind of language we can use, because memorizing is so difficult.
Rifat, you need to write in the English language, but you do not need to write exactly what the law book says. It's unreasonable to expect anyone to memorize the law book and write answers verbatim as written in the law book. You just need to write your understanding of the law and answer the question to the best of your ability. You don't need to write the law number. You just need to write your understanding of the correct law that applies to the question. And as long as you write it in English and we can understand it, then we will mark it. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. And any spelling mistake is if any spelling mistake is there, is it approved or it not be permitted? Mistakenly, any spelling mistake.
Rifat, if you were watching the demonstration of the exam, the website actually underlines any spelling mistakes in red. Just like a Microsoft Word document, if you spell something incorrectly, it will be underlined in red. So then you can go back and you can actually just correct the spelling of that word. But if you don't correct the spelling of the word, as long as we can make out what it is you're trying to say, if you wrote from with a FROME, then I can understand that you meant to write from FROM. So we will mark it correct as long as we can understand what you're trying to say. But please, as far as possible, try and correct your spelling. You get highlighted in red or underlined in red if you spell a word incorrectly. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Tom.
Next hand up is Isanula. Isanula, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Hi, sir. At the start of the lesson, I asked from you that I'm living in a village here in Afghanistan, so there is a lot of internet problem. We are all asking from you about the internet. So can I give you the exam outdoor in a park in the city? At the start, Abdullah answered me that yes, you can do. But now you answer to Muhammad Tuhi, he is also from Afghanistan. You answered him that it will not make a better sense outdoor. You can do that in a room, it will be better. So we are also trying to sit in a room. It will be better for us also. That the room is more comfortable place for us. But we have the issue of the internet.
Isanula, are you in a room at the moment?
At the moment, yes, I'm in a room.
Yes. So if your internet is good enough to be on a Microsoft Teams call with no interruptions, then your internet will be good enough in that same room for the exam. It only requires 1 megabytes per second worth of internet connectivity, which I'm sure you have. And you can get logged off, you can reconnect. If you are disconnecting for 5 minutes at a time and you get back and you're disconnected again and you get back and you're disconnected again, then we will allow you to leave the room and go try and find better internet outside. But please, Mohammed, and please, Isanullah, start the exam indoors, please.
Okay, sir, we will try our best, but we will show you the place where we are sitting. There will be nobody and we will be alone.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great. Ladies and gents, I don't see any more hands up in the meeting room. I don't see any more questions or comments in the chat box. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your attendance and your interaction. Because it's our last lecture, I want to wish you all well for your exam, for those who will be writing. Remember to send me your emails before Monday to tell me when the exam you will be writing, either on Wednesday or the following Monday. So by Monday, the 22nd of September, please let us know when you will be writing, and then payment deadline for exams for those of you who need to pay is on Thursday, the 26th of September. Kartikeyan asks, can we get sample questions? Kartikeyan, I said on the lecture on Monday that no, any and all revision questions that we used to have for level 2 are too similar to the exam questions. So Cricket South Africa is no longer allowing us to send revision questions to candidates for level 2. For level 3, we do have revision questions. You will get to those in level 3 after you've passed level 2. So Kartikeyan, unfortunately, no revision questions, but if you go through the revision slides that Abdullah took you through, you will pass if you know everything in the revision questions, in the revision slides. So everybody, if you can switch on your cameras and switch on your microphones, we can all wave goodbye and good luck, and hope to see you all for level 3 starting sometime end of November. Thank you to all of you for your attendance and your interaction. I wish you all the best in your umpiring careers and wish you all the best for your upcoming exam. Prince, Rifat, Sharon, cameras, Mart, Kaniso, where are you? I want to know the faces that I will be seeing on television in a couple of years' time, because I'm sure that you're all going to make excellent umpires. Thank you very much, Rifat. Thank you very much, Shatanya. The rest of you, Theo, Bahadur, Ansh, thank you for switching your cameras on. All the best for your exams. Thank you and goodbye.